Those coastal communities have been absolutely betrayed. They won't get to renegotiate, not even the right to use British waters, but the right to negotiate the use of British waters for another 12 years. Those negotiations were due to happen on an annual basis. And then there's some other really hidden nasties in there as well. We're being signed up to the EU's single market on energy, and we're going to sign up to their emissions trading scheme. That means that actually British electricity prices are going to go up. It could mean that the price of petrol at the pump could go up because the EU's carbon tax, which this brings us into, is significantly higher than the UK carbon tax at current. So this, again, this is going against something that the government promised. It promised to lower our energy bills. It's potentially raising them in the name of rejoining the EU.
OK, well, Mike's been listening to you. Mike's a former Labour advisor on this one. And yet, Mike, just looking at the front page of the Mirror today, and it's they call it a win-win on this one. But they're one of the few voices that do see it positively, Mike.
This is a significant win for Britain. I'm surprised, actually, how good this deal is, because it was trailed as going to be very minimal. Actually, in the end, it's turned out to be something quite substantive. Far from putting energy prices up, for example, it's going to bring energy prices down. I've done a lot of work in the last year or two with the energy sector on this, and one of their key asks was to get our energy system back in the EU system. It's going to make electricity trading cheaper. What that means is that your electricity bills are going to be cheaper. It also means we're going to be able to invest more in renewable energy in the North Sea. That is also going to bring down your electricity bill because we're going to get free wind energy, basically, rather than paying for fossil fuels from another country. It's also going to bring your food prices down because it's going to be easier to trade food across the channel. That means those costs are therefore reduced for producers and for exporters and for importers. So that's going to make your food bills cheaper. It also makes the UK safer in two ways. Firstly, because we've got a security and defence pact with the EU.
Not confirmed, though, Mike.
Well, it will be confirmed. I mean, I think that's a certainty because it was a key interest for both sides. That's going to make us all safer because our militaries are going to be able to work together more closely, which keeps us all safer against Russia because we're going to be able to do more to support Ukraine. And also it brings our police forces closer together because when we left the EU, we had to leave the databases on what criminals were doing in Europe and who was travelling where. That's going to affect lots of things. One of the things it will affect will be collaboration on small boats and stopping people smugglers.
Now,
So,
on the subject of boats, Mike, a thing that is annoying and frightening, I think, a lot of people is this sort of headline in The Sun, which says, "Done up like a kipper." And it refers, obviously, to our fishermen around the country. Why do you think that the fishing deal was so generous towards the Europeans? 12 years in return for 0.3% of growth by 2040.
0.3% of growth is worth having. And when you consider the state of our economy and the fact that it's been fairly stagnant for the last sort of 15 years, 0.3% might not sound like a lot, but it's fairly significant, and it's going to add a great deal of confidence to Rachel Reeves as she's talking about getting the economy growing again. And, for example, I think the benefits from their planning reforms are somewhere between 0.2 and 0.4%, depending on how that works out in terms of the economy. So 0.3%, I mean, it's not the be-all and end-all. Brexit's actually made us 4% poorer. So were we to rejoin the EU, that would be a much more significant boost to our economy. But politically, of course, that is not going to happen. So in those circumstances, 0.3% is well worth having.
Can I just take on some of those claims there? Brexit has not made the UK economy 4% poorer. This is based on an estimate that was made before the vote by the Office for Budget Responsibility. We've seen that actually, the UK is growing faster than the EU. I think a lot of this deal reflects this quite starry-eyed view of the EU as this sort of dynamic, growing economy, as this something as this sort of progressive bloc. I mean, none of this is really true. The EU is really, really struggling economically. It has serious problems. It's not the centre of growth in the world, and signing us up to it is not going to deliver good things for the UK. I mean, also, it's worth taking the food prices. Are food prices going to come down? Food prices are lower in the UK than they are in the EU, and they have been for a long time. There hasn't been any great divergence since Brexit, any divergence in particular. So it's not clear what the actual benefits are from rejoining this food deal. And again, in terms of the fishermen, if President Macron is willing to stand up for French fishermen, why is Keir Starmer not willing to stand up for British fishermen? They were willing to scupper this deal on behalf of on behalf of the French fishermen. So, why is our government not standing up for British interests?
Do you feel as though we've given away too much too easily here, Fraser?
I think so. I think the problem is fundamentally for Keir Starmer and for the Labour government is that they see any rapprochement with the EU as inherently good, as inherently positive, and so they haven't been clear-sighted about the actual pros and cons and about the actual national interest when doing these negotiations. They're just happy to be at the summit and to declare a win and to say that we are putting Brexit behind us without really thinking too much about the real details here.
Our poll of the day today is a bit vague on this. It's saying, do we need to reset relations with the EU? I think that means, do we need to reset them not yesterday, but today, now that we've seen what they involve? So do we need to rip this agreement up? Do we need to walk away from this? What is your view of the deal that the Prime Minister has done with Europe, OK? So if you think we need to now reset what has happened, get in touch, scan that QR code there and have your say.
Yep, and you can also go to www.gbnews.com/poll. Thanks, Mike, and thank you, Fraser. Actually, Fraser, do stay with us, because we wanted to ask you about this phone call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, 2 hours in length, and now President Trump says they can start negotiating towards a ceasefire and hopefully end the war. Let's have a listen.
I did say it's time, you got to stop this thing. And I believe he wants to stop. Look, I would be, I think, very able to tell whether or not he wanted to or what. I thought there was a very good chance, like a 50-50 chance, that he would say, I want to take the whole thing. I didn't know what he was going to say. And then they have a different kind of a problem. But I believe he wants to stop. Be sure.
What do you make of it, Fraser?
Well, I think it's always important to look at the language between the difference in language between the two sides. So Trump is very positive about the phone call. Russia is a bit more circumspect, saying, there's the potential for a future agreement, nowhere near as excited as Trump is about it. I mean, we saw only last week they had these, much vaunted peace talks in Istanbul. Russia only sent a very low-level delegation to that. Putin did not show up, which suggests a level of a sort of lack of interest in these peace talks. Even, that phone call, Putin was out on walkabout. He was in a school somewhere doing a sort of PR press trip. I don't think he's taking these negotiations seriously. Some in the White House have started to say, is he tapping us along? Trump used that phrase. Marco Rubio used that phrase. And I think the answer is, well, yes. Putin does not want to anger Washington. He doesn't want to be on the wrong side of sanctions that might come his way. But he's also not interested in winding up the war on anything less than, very favourable terms to themselves.
So there's got to be more sanctions, hasn't there?
Well, you would think so. I mean, I suppose the danger is that Trump and JD Vance have talked about, well, we should just walk away and let them deal with it themselves. But, in this instance, walking away from Ukraine means de facto giving it into Russia. So that's a real difficulty.
Also, I thought it was really interesting how he said that Zelensky is difficult to deal with when in that press conference. I mean, he is favourable towards Vladimir Putin, isn't he? I mean, a 2-hour-long conversation between the pair of them.
Yeah, and Zelensky is a man fighting for the survival of his country, and clearly, requires the support of the US, requires the support of Europe. So you can understand why he might have. Why he might be quite stern sometimes, why he might unwittingly offend the president, whereas Russia seems quite comfortable to string Donald Trump along, to say some things that Donald Trump wants to hear, but then will not actually act in line with the president's demands.
What do you think Donald Trump thinks when he looks at this British-European Union deal and resetting? Does he have any concerns related to that?
Well, he might do if there's to be a sort of deepening of the existing trade agreement that we've just agreed with the US. Certainly around food, the fact that we've signed up to EU food standards, that could potentially actually scupper some of the trade agreements we've already agreed, actually. Although food is not necessarily a big part of them, we need to have flexibility on these things, and suddenly we don't. Food now, we have a case where food that is made in the UK that might not even travel to Europe, doesn't need to be exported to Europe, still has to be produced and meet EU standards. That is going to cause problems for future trade deals. potentially even current ones.
Okay. Fraser, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much.
Yeah, talk to us throughout the programme, Fraser. And if you've got anything to say about what Fraser is saying, please do have your say. We love to hear from you.
We do. Now, at 14 minutes past 6, let's take a look at some other stories coming into the newsroom this morning.
Hundreds of former sub-postmasters will be compensated by the Post Office after it accidentally leaked their names and addresses in June last year. The breach affected 555 victims of the Horizon IT scandal. The Post Office urges affected individuals to contact them or their solicitors to claim compensation. Good luck with that.
Gary Lineker will leave his presenting role at the BBC this week. That's following the conclusion of Match of the Day for this season. On the announcement, BBC Director General Tim Davie says Gary has acknowledged his mistake and that they've agreed he will step back from further presenting after this season.
The King has praised the gardens at the Chelsea Flower Show for lifting spirits through nature. Yesterday afternoon, he toured the event alongside the Queen. And they met a lot of people, including David Beckham, ahead of an upcoming campaign by the King's Foundation, which will aim to encourage young people to consider taking up work in horticulture.
Did you see the King chatting with David Beckham? Oh, you've got it right in front of you. Talking with David Beckham yesterday. So apparently they have a blossoming friendship because they both love gardening.
And David Beckham loves the royalty.
And David Beckham does like the royal family.
Seen with them, whatever.
Yes. And he was wearing the King's Rose on his lapel.
Funny headline here. It says here, a rose. I thought you said arise.
Yes.
As in Sir David Beckham, which I'm sure is surely going to happen.
Surely.
The weather picture today, it's a bit of a mixed picture. Let's have a look with Alex Deacon.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A fine sunny day for most places today, but we are again going to see a few showers, and they could be quite heavy, especially so across Northern Ireland. It is another pretty grey start over parts of southeast Scotland, northeast England. That cloud melting away through the morning, always potentially sticking to some of these coasts, but most places dry and sunny. But the clouds bubbling up this afternoon. We will see a few showers, maybe for Wales, certainly across Northern Ireland, perhaps southwest Scotland too. Feeling quite warm, though, a bit warmer than yesterday in the south, 23, 24, perhaps even up to 25 Celsius. Again, some of these North Sea coasts will be a little fresher, and certainly temperature will drop down where we see these heavy showers breaking out, which could easily affect parts of southern and western Northern Ireland. The far north of Scotland, always the possibility of the Ha returning here. Small chance of a shower over southwest Scotland, northwest England, but a greater risk of those showers for Northern Ireland, where there could be slow-moving thunderstorms. So just something to keep an eye on here through the day. Small chance of a shower too for Wales, perhaps even the Midlands, but most places across England and Wales dry and fine. It'll start to cloud over in the southwest a little bit as we go through the afternoon into the evening, so sunshine turning hazy, and then that cloud thickening up. We're more likely to see some rain coming into South Wales, southwest England as we go through the early hours. Elsewhere, a dry night to come. Again, that mist and low cloud just drifting back inland over parts of eastern Scotland and eastern England. Bit of a chilly one over Scotland. Temperatures well down into single figures here. Different feel, though, tomorrow for South Wales, southwest England. More cloud and some outbreaks of rain. And we could see some heavy showers even developing over southeast England and the Midlands. Could be some welcome rain, but if you get a heavy downpour, it's going to drop a lot of rain in a short space of time. Those heavy downpours will be very hit and miss. Many places, again, dry and fine. A drier day for Northern Ireland. Again, cool on some North Sea coasts. High teens, low 20s elsewhere.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
You know, and when the weather's good and you want to go out, you want to experience the great outdoors and that sort of thing, be very careful because it is dangerous. And if you're a man between 60 and 70, you're in the highest group for accidental fatalities. That can be walking the dog, it can be having a dip in water, and you're tempted to do that if the weather is quite good or whatever. And we're going to be talking about that and how to avoid it right after this short break.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants, whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Right, we're going to get involved now in recreation pursuits when the weather gets better, the summer, the inevitable hot weather, but it is more important than ever to ensure you're safe, and we're going to particularly concentrate on open water.
Yes, because according to the latest stats, there were 236 accidental drownings in the UK in 2023. So what can we do to ensure that we stay safe in the water this summer?
Founder of River and Sea Sense, we say hello, good morning, and welcome to Debbie Turnbull. Debbie, we're saying what can you do to stay safe? I would suggest stay out of open water.
Well, if only, Eamonn, and thank you for the invitation this morning. My catchphrase, if you like, is learning to swim is not enough, because it really, really isn't. My son, Chris, drowned at 15 years old, and he fell into a waterfall at a place called Capel Curig in North Wales. It was what's called cold water shock that actually took his life, because he fell from a high point and he fell into a waterfall. And basically it was the centre of the waterfall, which is called the boil, because the water had come down from the mountains and created a huge waterfall that they'd been going all year, all summer, and had no problems. He fell into the water, he was pushed back into a cave, and unfortunately that took his life because he got his trainer stuck in the cave in a root of a tree, believe it or not. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to do this work.
It's really hard for you to recount all of that, but you're determined that it shouldn't happen to anyone else, or that other people have got to be aware of the dangers out there in open water.
Absolutely, yes.
And Debbie, I mean, we've got the stats in front of us. It is males, isn't it, and boys who make up the large number of these accidental fatalities. Why do you think that is? Do you think boys and men are more likely to...
It's old men.
Do you think it's boys and men that would jump in and want to go out with their friends and perhaps not be aware or educated to the risks?
We get between ages... mostly between 15 onwards. I think they are the highest stats we get over the years. But there are some people that go to open water in lakes and rivers that never intended to be there, to be in the water. They might have been out near a university and they fell in by accident. They've been out for a drink. You know, there's a massive Don't Drink and Drown campaign going on. And it happens so quickly, and you wouldn't believe the people who you think are sensible make those mistakes of going into cold water really, really quickly. The water that day was between 3 and 4 degrees, which equates to the temperature of your fridge at home.
Well, just an awful situation, but Debbie, a very timely reminder to be careful, to think about it, whether it's sea or whether it's a lake or whether it's a waterfall or whatever it happens to be. Not as attractive as it looks, and it comes with its hidden dangers, and particularly males between 60 and 69, the highest group for accidental fatalities. So, you know, it's a lot of men my sort of age who are going out there and they're just, their bodies aren't ready for it, aren't made for it.
Yeah, we do get an awful lot of young people, Eamonn, to be quite honest, around my son's age, because I think there's also an element of peer pressure in there. But if I may make a couple of points, in that that is called tombstoning. It's called tombstoning for a reason. Other dangers are things like inflatables. They are not for the sea. It's really easy to go out really, really quickly and be taken
alcohol,
out.
Debbie, I think we should highlight as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, without a doubt.
Okay.
As I say, the campaign is Don't Drink and Drown.
OK, we'll say goodbye to you. We'll say I hope the summer goes well for you and your message gets across. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do think it's really important that people like Debbie talk about this and educate people, because even when we were having a chat outside before the programme, one of the producers, I won't name their names, was saying they'd like to go for drinks and then go for a swim in the lake. But there's a lack of... You wouldn't put the two and two together and think that could actually be really dangerous.
Yeah.
So important that we talk about it.
Well, think about that. And while you're there, here's our daily reflection with the Reverend Mike.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hello, I'm Reverend Mike, a vicar in the Church of England. When real trouble strikes, it's difficult, isn't it, to think of anything else. Our minds become consumed with that humanitarian atrocity, or that diagnosis, or that fractured relationship. But have you ever noticed that ancient churches are often set on high, perhaps on a hill? This speaks of the very biblical idea that our hearts ascend to meet with God, that we leave our earthly cares behind in order to raise our attention to Him. Now, of course, God welcomes us to bring anxiety and concerns. In fact, He bids us bring them. But it is possible to have our minds so cluttered with our own stuff that we fail to see what really matters: the transcendent goodness and beauty of Jesus. True joy in the Christian faith is found when the focus of our hearts is no longer on our circumstances, our limitations, our desires, but Him. As the Apostle Paul says, "If then you were raised with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ is. Set your minds on things above."
The weather gets better, more of you head out and about. Let's find out what's going on with the roads.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A77 in Girvan is closed for maintenance with diversions. Electrical work on the M4 westbound disrupts between junction 46 at Llangyfalach and junction 47 at Penlegar, with slip roads closed and one lane shut. The A19 southbound in Middlesbrough has a broken down vehicle near the A1130, closing one lane. The M1 northbound exit slip at Toddington Services is closed due to an overturned vehicle. The M4 eastbound entry slip at junction 17 in Wiltshire is shut due to a police incident. And on the trains, Great Western Railway and South Western Railway have no services through Salisbury. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now, time is running out on your chance to win our biggest ever Great British giveaway. Your chance to drive away in a brand new motorhome worth over £67,000, plus £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Here are all of the details that you need.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. It has plenty of room for your family of four, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. And the best news? You can drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Don't delay. You can't win if you're not in the draw. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Right, we've got the papers to look forward to. Lots of views on this day. Pat Sharp, Anna Firth. Hi, you guys. We're going to be with them right after this very short break.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off-limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, it is a big day for newspaper headlines, so let's have a look at some of them, beginning with the Times.
A new era in UK and EU relations dominates Tuesday's papers after Sir Keir Starmer unveiled the new trade deal with Brussels to secure cheaper food and energy.
Telegraph, kiss goodbye to Brexit. That's the thought of the day. It reports that Starmer is being accused of attempting to drag Britain back into the EU. What do you think?
The Daily Mail leads also with backlash to the PM's new trade deal, labelling it as Starmer's surrender.
Daily Mirror says, though, it's a win-win. Everybody wins out of this. The Star
says the PM's in a tight spot as he tackles backlash from the assessment with Boris Johnson, who described the PM as an orange ball chewing gimp, which is actually from a GB News interview done with Boris Johnson yesterday. So that's good, isn't it?
And the best headline of all in The Sun, done up like a kipper, as it details the deal as bowing down to European Union judges. They say Starmer agrees to take rules from Brussels, bow down to judges, pay billions for privilege, throw open our borders, let French plunder our fish for 12 years. And Anna Firth here in the studio and Pat Sharp with their views on this one. Now, Pat, first of all, before we go into the political analysis of all of this, as a punter, what do you think of the headlines you're waking up to today?
Well, good morning, Eamonn, and hello, dear viewer. I mean, this is shocking to me because I thought we'd left and that was it. It was done and dusted. But apparently now we're sort of dipping back into the water, literally.
So you haven't heard the end of it, you're thinking?
Well, now I'm thinking we haven't heard the end of it, but the whole idea originally was that was it. We're out and everything will be cheaper and it'll all be marvellous.
Well, so what is it? What have we got, Anna, with this?
So what we've got is a shabby sellout of our historic fishing industry. You know, I often talk about this. We've had fishing in the Thames Estuary, particularly Leon Sea, where I come for 1,000 years. And when we came out of Brexit, one of the things the fishermen were not happy about was that they were still kept into the orbit of Brussels for 5 years. But that was due to come to an end next year. So as of next year, we were going to be able to take complete control of our fishing waters. And what this has done is given this away. Now, fishermen have had a bad time for decades, as we know. The fishing industry has halved in the last 40 years. This is probably going to be the end of our small fishing fleet.
Well, you see, it's funny, that's the bit that I feel. It's like they'll try and make out farmers are going to do very well out of this. I don't know. They say they will. But, Pat, I think who cares about the fishermen? Nobody seems to care. They are on their own, swimming on their own.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, I think that the problem is you can go right back to the arguments with Iceland, can't you, from many, many years ago? So
Cod Wars.
Yeah, Cod Wars. I remember that when I was young. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just the fishermen themselves. It's actually bad for the environment and for the fish to let these huge European trawlers come over and dig up the seabed. I was talking to my fisherman in Leon Sea yesterday, and he said that since 1st of April, over 11 million pounds of quality bass has been thrown back into our sea because of EU rules, which we were hoping to escape.
Well, that's what people voted for.
And that's what people voted for. So this is a disaster for our fishermen. It's a total sellout and it's a disgrace.
What have we got in return, Anna?
Well, what have we got in return? We've got the right for North London lovies to be able to go abroad and apparently have a slightly quicker way through with their e-things. But as most people know, any airport can already let you use the e-gates, and a huge number of airports in Europe, Amsterdam, Mallorca, Portugal, you can already use these e-things, and apparently we're going to bring back passports for dogs and cats. So, we have.
You must support that, Anna.
Well,
come on.
Of course, I absolutely support passports for dogs coming back. But come on, we've got to get serious. This is a very, very bad deal for the UK, and I'm afraid Starmer has shown us what we all knew. He's the arch Remainer. He can't wait to get us back into the orbit of the EU, and this is the beginning. And we need to stand up for our fishermen and stand up for what.
But instead, he's standing up for tourists. People going to Ibiza, Mallorca, and whatever, and it stops moaning and complaining in those queues, doesn't it?
Long queues, yeah.
Is that something you welcome, Pat? Because you do a lot of DJing across Europe, don't you? Have you noticed the queues are longer at the airport?
Yeah, it is a little bit busier, but at the end of the day, I think if you're going to work there, you just have to deal with it the same as you would do at home with a traffic jam, so you get on with it.
OK, Pat, let's take a look at the Daily Star, shall we? B boot to cost Lineker a cool £1 million.
So he's got himself in hot water, as you know, but the papers are showing him hopping, skipping and jumping to the other channel. Apparently, he's going to head over to ITV, they reckon.
I can't see why ITV would step in with a national scandal where Jewish people have been perceived to be insulted. This is not me taking a stand on this. I just can't see woke ITV getting involved in this.
OK, so he's apologised. He's also said his position is untenable. So he's saying, I made a mistake. I deleted this comment and I'm going to step down on Sunday after the last match of the day of this season. So he won't be doing the World Cup coverage next summer. But they'd say he will be, but it'll be on the other channel because he's going to get more money by going over. They'll just take him on because.
But there's so many other channels. He's not going to be stuck for choice.
Yeah. Well, he's already worked for the other ones while he was on the BBC. He worked for BT Sport, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, as a BBC licence payer, I'm delighted that we're not going to be paying him £1.4 million a year just to tell us if a goal has been scored.
Yeah, but it's the way he tells them.
We can see it with our own eyes.
I would argue he is worth it, and I would argue that ordinariness or blandness is now seen as the pinnacle. There are just too many. But that's the way broadcasting is. Broadcasting doesn't like individuals who stand out. They just like those who toe the line. And I think sport is becoming full of people who toe the line.
This was way beyond the pale, though, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Look, listen, we can sit and talk about through the years, the Dickie Davises, the Des Lynams, the David Colemans, the Frank Boths, whatever. But as soon as you become bigger than the job or political or whatever, that it's a whole different era.
I don't get, Eamonn, I just don't get why, if you want to watch a football match, and I'll be glued to Southend United tomorrow night in the semi-final of the playoffs. I want to watch the match. I want to see the boys play.
No, you
I want
don't.
to see the goal.
No, you don't.
I do
No,
not.
you don't. No, you don't. You don't. You don't. You don't. Look, I watched Saturday coverage on BBC and ITV. Rubbish. All rubbish. Why? Because they had no presence at the top of the day to say, hello, here we are, Wembley. There's going to be a final here today, whatever. And you suddenly, Neil, this is important. Instead, you have a lot of people who you think, who's she? Who's he? What do they do? There's nobody who stands out as the owner of the programme. That's my view.
Oh, I can't stand it.
It was interesting when you said that the broadcasters want the presenters to play the game instead of talking about playing the game.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's mansplaining on an epic scale. That's what
No,
I
it's
think
an
it is.
occasion setting. I'm telling you now. Go on Instagram and get shots of Des Lynam hosting the FA Cup final at Wembley. And all he says, you know, good afternoon. Sorry, the idea is that's why Lynam was important, because the camera was on him. Thank you. Afternoon. There's going to be a final here today. Yeah. Think you'll like it. You know, that's all he has to say. Boom.
I remember
and
he started Cup Final Day once. He goes, good afternoon, it's Cup Final Day. And then they showed Charlie George scoring that winning goal in 71.
And Charlie George, you can hit him.
Yeah.
Oh, a
And that
great
was it.
goal,
And that was all he
Charlie
had to say.
George.
It's Cup Final Day. You know, it's like when you do the weather on the radio. You don't have to do all the
helicopters, buses, hotels, all that back after this.
If they have the one-liners, like with the FA Cup on Saturday, the Eagle has landed.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heavy showers for central and northern Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Generally sunny over the Greek islands. Plenty of sunshine for Iberia at the moment, but we are looking at more wet weather, especially for northern Spain and the Balearics come the end of the week. There are those showers over Italy, some pretty heavy downpours over parts of the Balkans. We'll continue with the risk of showers here through the week. Sunny skies for most of the Greek islands, certainly for Cyprus and much of Turkey as well. Santorini stays sunny for the rest of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, and as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/your-say. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
A monumental breakthrough. Scientists have revealed that they've found strong evidence of alien life. Just 124 light years away.
Which is quite far, isn't it? Astronomers from Cambridge University have detected signs of molecules that do indicate life, so we may not be alone after all.
Well, joining us now to explain what on earth this exciting story is, the astronomer and broadcaster Mark Thompson joins us. Mark, just how important is this discovery?
Well, it's incredibly important. For so many years now, we've been looking for some signs that we're not alone in the universe. The universe is a massive place. It's often been said that there's more stars in the universe than there are grains of sand on Earth. So, it's a big place. And to think that we're the only intelligent species in the entire cosmos is difficult to understand. And the discovery that's just been announced is that there's something called dimethyl sulfide, which is an element made of hydrogen, carbon and sulfur, which at the moment we think the only possible way that could be there is through some form of primitive living organisms.
So this is because it's a very complicated gas to sort of combine together. There's no way there could be some sort of volcano churning this stuff out. It has to be some sort of biological life form as the most likely explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. There are other elements, but this particular element, dimethyl sulfide, at the moment, the only process we know of that can produce it is life. Now, of course, we're still in early stages of this discovery, and we still need to do a lot of work to see if there's any other processes we can identify that can produce it. But for now, the only thing we know of is life, and so the only explanation therefore is that it's life, but it is still early days.
GB News, the People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back. We're going through the papers in the company of Anna Firth and Pat Sharp. And Anna, let's have a look at this phone call, shall we, between President Trump and Vladimir Putin. 2 hours long.
Yeah, I mean, this is desperation tactics, really, isn't it, from Donald Trump? Because he made that big promise, didn't he, that he was going to end the war in Ukraine.
First week.
On day one.
Yeah.
He was going to solve it on day one. And, of course, you know, here we are months in and he's getting no closer. And, I mean, all the signs are that Putin is not actually playing ball with this. You know, Trump's putting out these tweets saying that he's offered this trade deal, and Putin didn't even turn up, did he, last Friday in Istanbul? And now we read that the Pope is going to get involved and host negotiations.
Well, Trump will like that because it's obviously a US Pope now, isn't it? So the US would still be involved in peace talks if the Pope got involved.
I suppose so, but I think what Trump is missing here is that whatever he gets, whatever promises he gets from Putin, we know they're not worth the paper they're written on. And so, I mean, yes, we all want to see a peace deal, but ultimately it's got to be Vladimir Zelensky and President Putin who actually do that deal.
But it must just be lip service, Anna, because the war aims of Russia haven't changed. I mean, they don't want Ukraine to exist. They don't want Ukraine to be a sovereign country. Ukraine does still exist. So they're not interested in ending the war anytime soon, surely.
Exactly. And you know, we've just gone past VE Day and all our celebrations. And, you know, if we've learned anything, surely we've learned that you cannot ever appease a bully. Okay. You have to stand up to bullies.
Meanwhile, in sport, Manchester United legend David Beckham is back in London. He's in Chelsea. He's at Chelsea. But the flower show this time.
Oh.
It's the only way you're going to give Man United a mention until, of course, tomorrow night, isn't it, really?
Yeah, nervous day.
Yeah, just for you. Just for you. What do you reckon? I mean, I know we're going off track, but Spurs, Man U, both almost relegated.
I think two of the worst teams in the Premier League.
He's very fair about it.
Fighting it out for a European trophy. It's embarrassing, actually.
But the winner gets to go in the Champions League, so it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it'll be amazing, but I'm very nervous about it.
Okay. Who do you think is going to win? Yeah. Who do you think is going to win?
Well, our under-15 team was beating us 1-0 after 5 minutes yesterday in practice. So maybe
you think it's looking good for Spurs?
Well, back to Bex, because Bex is in Chelsea, not playing for them, but at the Royal Horticultural Society for the Chelsea Flower Show, and he's hanging out with the King, and they're becoming quite pally. And the King has had a rose named after him. His mother, his late mother, had it twice during her long reign, that honour. And now David Beckham has helped launch this new Harmony project to encourage more people into horticulture. And the King's rose is being sold to raise lots of money.
It looks beautiful as well.
Yeah.
You see, I think it's lovely encouraging younger people into horticulture, but whether they would take it up, whether it has got the appeal, whether it has got the attraction, and indeed whether it has the finance to actually support people.
You're an English rose yourself.
Well, I have a rose named after me, yes.
Do you?
Do you? Do you really? What's your rose?
Do you sit and think I make things up here during the day and just tell lies after lies? There is an Eamonn Holmes rose.
I just thought I'd know everything by now, and then you come out with things, well, that's
no, believe me, you don't even know.
And the half. Oh, wow.
What colour is it, Eamonn, your rose?
I think it can be various colours. I'm not really sure.
What's it called, the Holmes rose or the Eamonn Holmes rose?
It was probably called the Eamonn Holmes rose, yeah.
Oh, that's very nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, the King's one looks more like a peony, I'd say. It's like a pink peony-looking rose. And what I liked yesterday, that conversation between the King and David Beckham, was they clearly have a friendship because David Beckham just turned 50, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the King was like, did you get your present? The King had sent him a present.
Yeah, but he does a lot for the King's Foundation, an awful lot. Now, and he has, through the years, done an awful lot for the Prince's Trust and all those sort of things. But I still don't see how this is going to encourage young people to take up horticulture, which I think is a wonderful thing, and I think they should be encouraged to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, they should be. I mean, I was just telling Anna, actually, how for the first time in my life, my wife and I have started to do a little bit of gardening. Probably left it a little bit late, but...
Really?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I quite like it now, yeah.
Do you find it relaxing?
Yeah, I thought I never would. I mean, I used to only wash the car. That was my only way of relaxing. And now I'm in the garden as well.
Am I the only one who remembers when I was young we had those tomato bags and my mum always used to grow tomatoes
we had those,
every year. And then so we used to go out and, you know, pick the tomatoes, and runner beans was another big favourite.
Nice.
And they're delicious if you get them, you know, when they're sort of fresh, but if they're left on the plant, oh, they're so tough to get through the shredding machine.
I don't think anybody grows their own stuff anymore, do they? We've lost that art.
I think that is a more important thing, personally, than growing lovely roses, because, you know, it's something practical.
Well, when you're back next time, Pat, you're going to solve this whole problem about giving young children mobile phones and why people think that they should have them through safety. There's an answer for that one. I'm looking forward to hearing about that in about 40 minutes' time. OK. Thank you very much indeed, Anna and Pat.
Yeah, and let's get a look on the weather now, shall we, with Alex Deacon, because it's looking like a bit of a mixed bag today. We'll get all the details.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A fine sunny day for most places today, but we are again going to see a few showers, and they could be quite heavy, especially so across Northern Ireland. It is another pretty grey start over parts of southeast Scotland, northeast England. That cloud melting away through the morning, always potentially sticking to some of these coasts, but most places dry and sunny. But the clouds bubbling up this afternoon. We will see a few showers, maybe for Wales, certainly across Northern Ireland, perhaps southwest Scotland too. Feeling quite warm, though, a bit warmer than yesterday in the south, 23, 24, perhaps even up to 25 Celsius. Again, some of these North Sea coasts will be a little fresher, and certainly temperature will drop down where we see these heavy showers breaking out, which could easily affect parts of southern and western Northern Ireland. The far north of Scotland, always the possibility of the Ha returning here. Small chance of a shower over southwest Scotland, northwest England, but a greater risk of those showers for Northern Ireland, where there could be slow-moving thunderstorms. So just something to keep an eye on here through the day. Small chance of a shower too for Wales, perhaps even the Midlands, but most places across England and Wales dry and fine. It'll start to cloud over in the southwest a little bit as we go through the afternoon into the evening, so sunshine turning hazy, and then that cloud thickening up. We're more likely to see some rain coming into South Wales, southwest England as we go through the early hours. Elsewhere, a dry night to come. Again, that mist and low cloud just drifting back inland over parts of eastern Scotland and eastern England. Bit of a chilly one over Scotland. Temperatures well down into single figures here. Different feel, though, tomorrow for South Wales, southwest England. More cloud and some outbreaks of rain. And we could see some heavy showers even developing over southeast England and the Midlands. Could be some welcome rain, but if you get a heavy downpour, it's going to drop a lot of rain in a short space of time. Those heavy downpours will be very hit and miss. Many places, again, dry and fine. A drier day for Northern Ireland. Again, cool on some North Sea coasts. High teens, low 20s elsewhere.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24, sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. There are road disruptions in several regions today. The A77 is closed in both directions in Girvan due to planned roadworks. Motorists should follow diversion routes. On the M4 westbound from junction 46 to junction 47, electrical work has closed slip roads and one lane. In Surrey, a broken down vehicle on the M23 southbound between junctions 8 and 9 has closed one lane, causing delays. And on the trains, Great Western Railway has no trains through Salisbury, and there is disruption between Cardiff Central and Newport. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It has plenty of room for your family of 4, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News, the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Okoye, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Sir Keir Starmer surrenders to the EU.
The Prime Minister is accused of Brexit betrayal.
He's done a total sellout on our fisheries. A large part of Brexit was taking back control of our fantastic coastal waters from January.
As Boris Johnson hits out at the government's deal, is this a kiss goodbye to Brexit?
It's time. You got to stop this thing. And I believe he wants to stop.
After a 2-hour phone call with President Putin, President Trump says there's a good chance of peace between Russia and Ukraine.
Gary Lineker is to leave the BBC sooner than planned as he's engulfed in an anti-Semitism row.
At the Chelsea Flower Show, the King and Queen, ahead of the launch of a new charity campaign to get more young people into horticulture. Are you one of them?
As the chief executive of the Royal College of Nursing says her profession is not taken seriously because it's 90% female, we're asking, are some jobs better suited to men?
A dry and sunny day for most places today, but we are expecting a few heavy showers, perhaps even 1 or 2 thunderstorms. Join me later for our full forecast to see if you could catch one.
On this Tuesday morning, a very good morning to you. Nice to have you on board. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Looking at the Chelsea Flower Show, are you into your gardening?
When I was a teenager, I used to do a lot of gardening, grow a lot of vegetables and things like that, but then work got in the way. Life can be very busy. I think you have to have a lot of time to be into
You do have to
gardening.
have a lot of time, yeah. It's something I'd like to get into, but I've got no patience. I can't keep anything alive. I've got 3 orchids at the moment and they're all dead. So if anyone's got any tips for bringing them back, let me know. Apparently the trick is not to water them, which I've definitely not been doing, and they're still dead. So anyway, gbnews.com/yoursay. It is something I'd like to get into because it's meant to be very good for the mind.
I tell you what's
Meant
good
to be
to
relaxing.
grow. Potatoes are good to grow.
Oh, yeah?
They break up the soil very well and the soil becomes very sandy and really nice.
I could do with that, yeah.
Ready for other things after a year's crop of potatoes in them. Used to enjoy growing potatoes.
That's a very Irish answer.
Carrots are very difficult to grow.
What do you need for carrots?
Very soft soil.
Yeah, so I haven't got that.
Yeah.
I haven't got that.
No.
But I could maybe try potatoes. I like potatoes.
Yeah, potatoes are good. 2 minutes past the hour. Very good morning to you. Sir Keir Starmer has unveiled what he calls a reset deal with the European Union. This is making headlines absolutely everywhere today, and it has not gone down well.
Well, he says it will boost the UK economy by £9 billion and help to assert us on the world stage. It was announced in London yesterday with EU leaders at the Prime Minister's side, and the agreement includes access for European fishing fleets to UK waters for 12 years and ties the UK to EU food standards and the European Court of Justice.
So if you're into that, it's a win-win. But critics warn it edges Britain closer to the EU than many expected, and they thought this was all over and we wouldn't have to deal with this again. Here is Fraser Myers. Forgive my cough, Fraser, from Spike magazine. Your take is what?
Well, I think the concessions are huge, painful and immediate, giving away, things like fishing rights, giving away ECJ, European Court of Justice oversight over the food industry, potentially joining up with the energy single market, giving away control of our energy system, versus the gains which are pretty elusive. I mean, there's talk about you being able to use the e-gates, which was never really an EU function anyway. There might be some sort of defence pact, which is partly, probably mostly good for the EU.
Just said these e-gates, the EU could have allowed these to maintain the way they were, to stay the way they were. But they stuck their nose in on this and made it deliberately obtrusive.
Well, it seems as if there was never actually a ban on UK passengers using e-gates, and lots of people have been to airports across Europe where those are allowed. So it's kind of up to the member states whether we use them or not. Basically, all this agreement has said that there's no legal impediment from the European Commission to stop airports allowing Britons to use it. So even this gain, which would be a good gain, obviously people want us to be able to travel more freely and more easily and get through passport control quickly. Even that gain is not actually clear that it will necessarily be implemented.
All right, but let me ask you, if the industrial growth, and they're talking about 0.3% over 15, 20 years on all of this, if it's so small, why is Starmer and his government so keen to get a deal?
Yeah, £9 billion is the way that Starmer is spinning it, but I've seen analysis in the Telegraph suggest that the cost that we're paying into the EU in order to get this deal could be £19 billion. So it is a big loss. I think what you have is a political class in Britain, Starmer epitomising this, that are totally starry-eyed about the EU. They see it as a sort of font of economic dynamism, of progressive wisdom, as sort of liberal, technocratic, it can do no wrong. Whereas in reality, in the real world, Brussels is a crumbling empire. It's really struggling economically. It is illiberal and anti-democratic, standing in the way of, often overturning election results, standing in the way of what the public wants. It is, but there's just this vision where I think Keir Starmer and many fellow Labourites and fellow Remainers think that anything that brings us close to the EU must inherently be a good thing. It doesn't matter what the national interest is. The national interest is served by being closer to Brussels. So they're not looking really, I think, at the details of this. And that's why, this fishing capitulation, that seems to have happened quite quickly. That seemed to have happened on the eve of the summit because Starmer was willing to give up pretty much anything for a deal. Fishing was not actually supposed to be even part of this reset at all when when the EU and Starmer first started having talks. So I think there's a willingness to concede anything if it brings us closer into Brussels' orbit, and they see that as a win, regardless of the facts on the ground.
There were also no plans mentioned before the general election. Again, we heard as recently as September, no plans for a youth mobility scheme. And now we're hearing about this youth experience scheme from Ursula von der Leyen, obviously trying to stay away from the issue of migration there. But it is going to add to net migration figures, which the government have even said need to come down.
Yeah, it was only last week when Starmer made his big speech on immigration, and he talked about finally we are taking back control of Britain's borders. Now, of course, any scheme like this is not going to be quite the same as freedom of movement and that we had previously, where we were talking about hundreds of thousands of people coming from the EU. But clearly, it has the potential to increase net migration. And we don't know I suppose we don't know the details. Starmer says he thinks there might be a cap. The EU says there won't be a cap. There's suggestions that youth will include anyone under 35, which I think, you know, above 30 is not so youthful.
Oh, don't say
I would
that.
say. Well, you know, still young at heart, but
yeah.
I think if you use the word youth mobility scheme or youth experience scheme, I think most people are imagining that to be students and just above. There's also the potential that people might be able to bring their families over. Again, that's not a youthful sort of that's not a kind of thing you'd imagine to be a part of a youth-related scheme. So there is... Yeah,
and then we could be looking, sorry to interrupt you, Fraser, but then we could be looking at similar to the carers visa, which we're now trying to limit because people were coming, outstaying their visa and bringing their families.
Yeah, in terms of the carers visas, you know, people obviously a lot of people were perplexed as to why Labour is scrapping that visa or you know, tightening it. It's because for every carer, people were bringing 3 or 4 dependents. So the majority of, you know, actual migrants coming over on those visas were not workers. Could we see the potential for a similar thing here? I think there's also, you know, there's talk about rejoining the Erasmus scheme. I think that's broadly positive. It's a good thing for students to do exchanges. That's, you know, broadens the mind. Good to have the Europeans coming here. Good for our young folk to go over to Europe. But I think conflating the two I think it's a sort of PR trick to make something that is obviously a migration deal seem as if it's a sort of youth exchange, seem as if it's something purely educational.
Say if you're going to be part of any proposed deal going through, could you see yourself as a member again of the European Union? Whether you voted for it or not, but you're going to be taken into it by a Labour government?
I think they're trying to bring us into it by stealth. I think there might be a way in which they say, well, look, you know, we're now taking rules on agriculture, taking rules on energy, if this deal goes through, taking rules on God knows what next. And then the logical Remainer arguments say, well, let's not just be rule takers, let's have a say, let's rejoin. But of course, really, we should be independent of these.
Well,
you know, people voted
Let's
to
see
be outside
how
of it.
the GB News viewers and listeners think about this, because we asked them, do you think this trade deal that the government has cooked up with Europe is a betrayal of Brexit? And what are people saying, Ellie?
Well, so far, 97% of you say yes.
And that's 9-7 say this is complete betrayal.
And 3% say no. As that's pretty straightforward there.
Yes.
Yeah, you can continue to get involved. You can scan the QR code on your screens now, or you can go to gbnews.com/poll.
This gets me to how Starmer can spin this today, and his spokespeople are going to come on our programme, another programme, and they're going to call this a win-win. There's only 1 or 2 of the newspapers maximum that are agreeing with that. How do we put that down?
Well, I think probably Team Starmer thinks, or they thought that, Brexit is an issue in the past. People are fed up with it.
They don't want to look to the future.
That's what they said. We're putting those things behind us. But then they're clearly, they're doing the opposite. They're reopening old wounds. They're reopening the question about British sovereignty and giving sovereignty away without consulting us. So I think this is going to be a lot more problematic for them than they think it is.
Well, look, the other way of taking sovereignty away is to invade a country and take it over the way Russia is trying to do with Ukraine. Yep. So a 2.5-hour phone call last night. Trump is trying to play this as a very positive thing. What's your take on it?
Well, I think certainly 2.5 hours is a long time for a phone call, even if you include the translations and hiccups. But, you know, at the end of the day, we've got to look at the 2 different readouts. Trump's was much more positive than Putin's. Putin hasn't really moved in what he's saying. He's saying we've got to address the root causes of the war before there will be any kind of ceasefire or I should say broader peace. And what does he mean by that? Well, in his eyes, the root causes of the war are Ukraine's desire to be closer to the West, Ukraine's desire to be it's essentially an independent country.
Yeah. The existence of Ukraine as a sovereign country.
Exactly. The existence of Ukraine is, in Putin's mind, a root cause of the war. That's not something that's going to be solved over a few phone calls. And, I mean, Trump increasingly, he looked as if he was going to, get tough on Russia briefly. He even said recently, maybe they're stringing me along. But now, in his latest speech, he was talking really just about normalising relations with Russia. He was saying there's a great trade deal to be done with Russia at the end of all this.
That's what everything boils down to in his world, isn't it?
It is, and I think his desperation to be seen to be doing a deal of any kind has completely clouded any other judgment.
Do you think Trump, I was listening to the radio the other day and someone was saying he takes the imprint of whoever was last on his sofa. So after he spoke with Zelensky at the late Pope's funeral, he was talking about perhaps being strung along by Russia and everyone thought there'd been a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And then speaking last night to Putin on the phone for 2.5 hours, he's saying, Zelensky's quite difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I think, that is the nature of his personality, and some of his aides will always say, because he will come out with something, they only listen to him the second time he said something. So if he says it the first time, it comes up with something crazy the first time, they can ignore it. The second time, they're like, OK, this is serious, let's implement it. So, yeah, that is a problem for,
Fraser, thanks very much indeed for your contribution this morning. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Fraser. Thank you.
Have your say with what Fraser's had to say. Get in touch with us for that. Some of the other stories coming into the newsroom on this Tuesday morning, and hundreds of former sub-postmasters will be compensated by the Post Office after it accidentally leaked their names and addresses in June last year. The breach affected 555 victims of the Horizon IT scandal. The Post Office urges affected individuals to contact them or their solicitors to claim compensation.
Gary Lineker will leave his presenting role at the BBC this Sunday following the conclusion of Match of the Day for this season. On the announcement, BBC Director General Tim Davies says Gary has acknowledged his mistake. Accordingly, we have agreed he will step back from further presenting after this season.
The King has praised gardens at Chelsea Flower Show for lifting spirits through nature. Yesterday afternoon, he toured the event alongside the Queen, where they met David Beckham, amongst others, ahead of an upcoming campaign by the King's Foundation, which wants to encourage young people to consider taking up work in horticulture. Would you be one of them? Let us know.
I guess with the housing crisis in this country, though, how many young people actually have access to a garden?
Very true, very true. But then I suppose there's a lot of garden out there, and there's a lot of greenery out there, and there's a lot of things to be done with it. So if you know what to do with it, let us know. Here's Alex Deacon with the weather picture.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A fine sunny day for most places today, but we are again going to see a few showers, and they could be quite heavy, especially so across Northern Ireland. It is another pretty grey start over parts of southeast Scotland, northeast England. That cloud melting away through the morning, always potentially sticking to some of these coasts, but most places dry and sunny. But the clouds bubbling up this afternoon. We will see a few showers, maybe for Wales, certainly across Northern Ireland, perhaps southwest Scotland too. Feeling quite warm, though, a bit warmer than yesterday in the south, 23, 24, perhaps even up to 25 Celsius. Again, some of these North Sea coasts will be a little fresher, and certainly temperature will drop down where we see these heavy showers breaking out, which could easily affect parts of southern and western Northern Ireland. The far north of Scotland, always the possibility of the Ha returning here. Small chance of a shower over southwest Scotland, northwest England, but a greater risk of those showers for Northern Ireland, where there could be slow-moving thunderstorms. So just something to keep an eye on here through the day. Small chance of a shower too for Wales, perhaps even the Midlands, but most places across England and Wales dry and fine. It'll start to cloud over in the southwest a little bit as we go through the afternoon into the evening, so sunshine turning hazy, and then that cloud thickening up. We're more likely to see some rain coming into South Wales, southwest England as we go through the early hours. Elsewhere, a dry night to come. Again, that mist and low cloud just drifting back inland over parts of eastern Scotland and eastern England. Bit of a chilly one over Scotland. Temperatures well down into single figures here. Different feel, though, tomorrow for South Wales, South West England. More cloud and some outbreaks of rain. And we could see some heavy showers even developing over South East England and the Midlands. Could be some welcome rain. But if you get a heavy downpour, it's going to drop a lot of rain in a short space of time. Those heavy downpours will be very hit and miss. Many places, again, dry and fine. A drier day for Northern Ireland. Again, cool on some North Sea coasts. High teens, low 20s elsewhere.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
A lot of interest in a Great British giveaway, the motorhome. It's a whopper, and you get money to put in the petrol. Matter of fact, you'd have a
lot of money to put in the petrol.
I know a lot of petrol tanks maybe to fill. You could open your own garage for this one. £5,000 for the petrol tanks, and the motorhome is worth £67,000. Here's how you win it.
It's just 3 weeks left to grab your chance to win. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be spending your summer touring in this stylish Elnag Baron 560 motorhome, worth over £67,000. This brand new 2025 model comes complete with kitchen and bathroom areas and enough space to comfortably sleep a family of 4. We'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to add a few of your favourite things, or just spend it however you like. Don't miss out as lines close on the 6th of June. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, up next, what effect will this new trade deal have on our fishing industry?
Yeah, we're going to be speaking to the Federation of Fish Fryers next.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK, we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
So much of the programme today dominated about the European Union Britain deal. It's all the front pages of the newspapers today. Question is, how's it going to affect us? How's it going to affect you?
Yes, well, the Prime Minister's faced backlash for the deal, but particularly for British fishing and how he signed off on giving European trawlers access to our waters for the next 12 years.
So, if you're a frontline worker and you're dealing with fish, maybe in a fish and chip shop, we're joined now by Vice President of the National Federation of Fish Fryers, Stuart Devine. Stuart, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Stuart, I'm going to ask you in a minute, how you're feeling about this today, but I bought a fish supper last night. It cost me £11.90. Heaven forbid, you would have thought, I never thought I'd see the day where it would be that sort of money, and I know it can be more expensive and it can be less expensive. But is this going to hit our fish and chips in any way? More people competing to catch our fish for our fish and chips. Does that mean higher prices?
It certainly can't help. We've been dealing with high prices for a long time now. The prices are continually going up. There is a shortage of fish. The fish is in shortage, which is pushing the prices up. So the situation is not good. I'd still hope that you think that the £11.90 was good value for money. It is a great product, but it's all these things are not helping the situation.
And what do you make of this deal, Stuart? Do you feel as though the Prime Minister has sold out our fishermen?
I think the fishing fleet up and down the coast of this country must be waking up this morning really despondent. I think they must be thinking that they've just been absolutely thrown to the wolves. I think the Prime Minister and the government, in order to get this deal over the line, I think the fishing industry has been a sacrifice. And I think that's extremely sad.
But you see, I got to ask you, mate, who's out there fighting for the fish industry? Who's taking this seriously? And I would have thought after Brexit, the guys might have by and large thought, right, good, we've got control back of our own waters, we're going to control our own industry here, we're the bosses here, and then it's not to be. No one seems to have paid them a darn bit of notice.
Well, I totally agree. The thing of Brexit is whether you were with Brexit or without it, Brexit happened. We had to get on with what Brexit. And one of the things that Brexit was supposed to bring was the control of our own seas, bringing the control of our own seas back. Now, of course, after Brexit, there's been a fair delay, and the fishermen have been waiting and waiting and waiting. And now, I just think it's a massive betrayal to be given another 12 years to be left in complete limbo. I think it's astonishing.
And Stuart, you know lots of fishermen up in Scotland, don't you? So, how are they feeling this morning? This was already an industry that was on its knees.
I think it'll be leaving fishing communities up and down this country. They will have had hope, from Brexit. They will have had hope that something good could come out of Brexit. But today, as I say, they'll be waking up in disbelief. I think they'll think it's astonishing.
Stuart, I could not think of a harder job. There are more deaths in the fishing industry, in trawler work, than there is in mining, for instance, or anything like that. This is a dangerous profession. It's carried out, my goodness me, anybody who's ever seasick, imagine having to carry out doing your job in those foul seas that go on to give us lovely fish that we can indulge ourselves in. But the Spanish and the French, who are now up having a pinch at the Brit fish, what do they do in their own seas? Do they not have fish in their own seas? Have they not got enough to go around? Why do they need to be in our seas?
One of the obvious reasons is that haddock cod from the North Sea, to me, is probably the finest fish product you'll find anywhere in the world. Due to the North Sea, how it is, the temperature-wise, we really have got a prime product. So, of course, everybody wants to get their hands on it. That's one of the issues here.
Yeah. And do we go down, are we allowed access to the Spanish seas and the French seas?
Yeah, I'm sure we are, but they have different markets, you know. So the British is traditional fish and chips. You had your fish and chips last night. That's what people want. We have been trying different species, and I'm not saying that's been unsuccessful. But Britain is traditional. They stick to fish and chips, haddock and cod, huge sellers of fish. It's part of our you know, our heritage, you know.
But Stuart, what could anybody do? The government in particular, to say, look, we're going to make life a bit easier for you guys in that industry?
Well, we've got a huge crisis just right now. We're being taxed to the hilt. We spoke to the government, we spoke to the previous government, and we really have said we need help here. You know, fish and chip shops, hospitality in general, your local pubs, the heart of the communities, they've been ripped out with over-taxation. You're going to see more and more fish and chip shops, pubs, etc. close. And I just feel that the government now, they need to, it's fine getting all these deals over the line with India, with America, with all these places, but I feel they need to pay attention to what's happening in their own backyard, because you know, without any attention, they really are ripping the heart out of communities, and it's destroyed. I've done this for 40 years, and this is the hardest time in business that I've ever came across. And we really are. We're pleading for help from the government, because the ignorance is it's getting to everybody now, you know. And I just think they need to pay attention to what's happening right here in their own country.
Stuart, do you think with this deal, this is the end of the small fishing fleet?
I would hope not. I'd hope not. I mean, as you said, they're hard-working people. They're very robust, and I think they will continue. I don't think it will have any benefits. I don't think the fleet will get bigger, which is sad, because at the moment we don't have enough fish. So it was an opportunity. I think it's another missed opportunity. I think 12 more years. Yeah, hopefully, you know, it's 12 years is not a long time nowadays. So let's wait and see what happens. But I do think it's a real spear through the heart to these fishing communities.
Well, we feel sorry for you and everybody in the profession, Stuart. Sad hearing from you. Good luck to you. Stuart Devine is the Vice President of the National Federation of Fish Fryers. Thanks very much, Stuart. The way we all come out in sympathy with the farmers, I think the fishermen is the next area which deserves public support, because no one else is speaking up for them, and they serve us so well. You see, this is the thing again with politicians. Do they go to fish and chip shops? Do they buy a fish supper in a pub or whatever it happens to be? You just get the impression you're not in touch, Starmer. You're not in touch with what people do. And to give 12 years to say to the French and the Spanish, yeah, come on, have what you want, yeah, it's all here for you, when there's not enough for our own people. Pat Sharp and Anna Firth will be talking about this right after this short break. This is Breakfast on a Tuesday morning here on GB News with Eamonn and Ellie.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A77 is closed for maintenance between Dalrymple and Glendown Streets in Girvan with a detour. Electrical work on the M4 westbound has shut slip roads and one lane between junctions 46, Llangyfalach, and 47, Penla-Gaia, with diversions. An incident on the M1 northbound in Bedfordshire has closed two lanes between junctions 11A and 12, causing a 15-minute delay. The M4 eastbound at junction 17 is fully closed due to a police incident. And on the trains, major disruption is seen through Salisbury on Great Western Railway, with issues between Cardiff Central and Newport in South Wales. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Look, when it comes to our newspapers today, the newspapers you're going to see out in the shops or through your letterbox this morning, this basically sums it up. They're angry and they're in defence of the fishermen today. Here's the Sun, first of all, done up like a kipper. And you've got a kipper split down the middle there. And the Sun details the Prime Minister's deal, and they say it is to bow down to EU judges.
And this front page actually comes from GB News' very own Christopher Hope. He asked this question to the Prime Minister yesterday, and it is now the front page of The Sun this morning. The Daily Mail leads also with backlash to the Prime Minister's new trade deal, labelling it as Starmer's surrender.
Kiss goodbye to Brexit. That's the Daily Telegraph. It reports that Starmer is being accused of attempting to drag Britain back into the EU. You have your say with that with us this morning.
The Daily Mirror reports on the new Euro pact, with the Prime Minister saying the deal is a win-win.
And the PM's in a tight spot as the Daily Star tackles the backlash against him with the assessment from Boris Johnson, who described the Prime Minister as an orange ball chewing... What's that word?
Gimp.
And so what is that? What does he mean? What does he mean by that? And I don't even know what he means.
It's just from a film, isn't it? Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
What they had these
reference. Very Johnson.
Anyway, so the Mirror in favour of what the Prime Minister and the government's done, but nobody else seems to be.
Yeah, exactly. We're going through the papers now with former Conservative MP Anna Firth and radio and TV presenter.
You saw the interview we did with the man from the fish fryers there. Anything you would like to say about that?
Your place or mine?
Yeah, but are you going to pay 15 quid for it?
Well, this is the thing. We were talking about this a few seconds ago, Ellie and I, and we reckon it was about 3 or 4 quid, and now 15. So fish and chips has shot up, and I don't think they're selling as much to it.
So if you have a family of 6 or so, right, so that's nearly 100 quid.
Yeah.
It used to be 20 quid.
Without mushy peas.
But I mean, I totally agree with this, Eamonn, but it's about so much more than just fish and chips. Of course, the fish and chips is incredibly important, but our coastal fishing fleets, they're colourful, they're part of our culture, they're part of our history, they're part of our tourist industry. And
Is your constituency coastal?
Yeah, Leigh-on-Sea.
It's a fishing village originally.
Yeah, it was 1,000 years of fishermen. They're in the Doomsday Book.
Who cares for them? Who's there? Who's fighting their cause?
Well, certainly not Keir Starmer.
No.
The president of the NFFO, who's in my constituency, told me yesterday this is a complete sellout, and he wonders if Starmer is a secret foreign spy because he's giving everything away. Chagos Islands, fishing.
Yeah.
Now free movement is possibly coming back with 18 to 30-year-olds being... I mean, what else is he going to give away?
Do you think Starmer is just so keen to be seen to be doing things, that he wants this momentum, he wants to be seen to be a deal maker, that he's making bad deals?
I think it's summed up. There's an interview out there somewhere on the internet where Starmer was asked, before he became PM, where would you rather be, Westminster or Davos? And he says, Davos. This sums the whole thing up. He wants to be on the international stage. He's a lovey. He's a North London lovey. He gets on with them. Dear Keir, if you're negotiating for your country, you don't expect the people to be calling you Dear Keir because you're out there to get a good deal. You know, this sort of loviness isn't compatible with really fighting for your country.
You know, I'm used to, you know, historically deals in Northern Ireland and watching Northern Irish politicians who basically would not like each other, and they don't walk up kissing each other and hugging each other. They can be friendly, but this idea, the way with von der Leyen yesterday and Starmer, and it's like his best friend, and it's all this.
It's on the front page of the Telegraph, isn't it?
Oh, all this, you know, and you think, are you her mate? Are you her adversary?
Exactly. Kiss of death, that is. To
Kiss
Brexit.
goodbye to Brexit, says the Daily Telegraph today.
I mean, I spent my professional life in the courts being a barrister. And, yes, you had a professional relationship with the other side.
Yes.
No way would I be going up to my opponent and doing all of this sort of loviness.
And I look at, you know, you look at Zelensky and the way they all hug him. It's like, there's my mate, Vladimir, you know, all this business. You wouldn't have seen in the Second World War Churchill and Stalin and whatever sitting down and saying, well, Joe, what about you? Huggy, huggy, kissy, kissy. I mean, it's all for the cameras.
Yeah, it's the social media age we're in now, isn't it? They want to be seen to be kissing and hugging each other.
It really is. You know, when can they be serious? When is it?
But I believe it's more pernicious than that, because you can't. You know, we're not superhuman. If you're in this lovely relationship with people, how can you at the same time be standing up for your country? I don't think it's possible to be two-faced like that.
Do you not think it helps, Anna, in these negotiations? 100% of the cabinet voted Remain. So all of them want to be back in Europe. And there is a theory that if you can have this lovey-dovey relationship with the EU, you've got the youth mobility scheme and easier trade and things like that, that essentially we are becoming rule followers again, but without having any say in the rules. So then, in 10 years' time, you're looking potentially at another referendum. You want to be involved in coming up with these rules in the first place.
100%. You know, if you live in North London and your view is that you love the European superstate, you love free movement because you love having cheap labour at the dry cleaners, and you don't live out in the real world talking to real people, then of course underlying this is a desire to get back into this club.
Do you think they have one eye on that? Or do you think they are, or do you believe them when they say, look, we're looking ahead to the future now, that's all in the past?
But what does the future have in store, Pat? Could you see this government being returned?
I think not, due to maybe your colleague on GB News perhaps getting in. Nigel Farage and Reform UK, and you think they stand to be the big winners in all of this? Seems to be what people are talking about at present, yeah.
But why? Here's a question, though. Where was Nigel yesterday? I didn't see him anywhere. I didn't see him comment. I didn't see him.
He said it would be the end of small fishing. He said it would be the end of the fishing industry yesterday. He said it would be the end of the fishing industry yesterday, and that it was a sellout.
Yeah, but why was Richard Tice doing... He was appearing in our programme.
I thought that was very, very odd.
Maybe he's on his holidays or something, who knows. But, yeah, it's quite difficult. Do you think this government would be returned? Do you resent having to stick with them for the next 5 years, or do you think give it time and it'll all work itself out? Let us know your views, share your views and have your say with us.
Yeah, Pat and Anne are going to be with us in the next few minutes whilst we look at the forecast for some of the top European destinations.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heavy showers for central and northern Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Generally sunny over the Greek islands. Plenty of sunshine for Iberia at the moment, but we are looking at more wet weather, especially for northern Spain and the Balearics come the end of the week. There are those showers over Italy, some pretty heavy downpours over parts of the Balkans. We'll continue with the risk of showers here through the week. Sunny skies for most of the Greek islands, certainly for Cyprus and much of Turkey as well. Santorini stays sunny for the rest of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in
in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
What this allows teachers to do is to divide the children into groups so they can be taught as in groups round a table, 3 or 4 tables in the classroom. Now, much more effective than that is to have a teacher at the front of the class and the children facing the teacher. It's called whole class teaching. It's what they do in the Asia Pacific. Now, if we don't have so many support staff, teaching assistants, schools would be forced to have more old-fashioned teacher at the front style teaching. So actually that will raise standards because we know we're already about 3 years behind the Asia Pacific countries. So going back to more traditional teacher-led teaching, having fewer classroom assistants will actually raise standards. But don't get me wrong on this, Andrew. Of course, on an individual basis, some children need support staff. So I'm not trying to rubbish support staff. There were some great support staff, but we've got too many. Therefore, we need to work within the existing budget. And to be fair to the government, and we're not party political, we're not either right or left. We would say, as far as the government is concerned, they've said that if there is a bigger pay rise than the 2.8% or 2.6%, which is inflation, it'll have to be paid from within the current budget. So the government needs to stick to that. They can pay it within the current budget, but you tell that to the teacher unions, and of course they won't want to believe that. They will say, no, we need more money. But if you go to the Institute for Fiscal Studies, they will tell you that since 1953, going back to the 50s, we've increased expenditure on education by 900% in real terms. Staggering, I know. And we haven't improved standards. So the success of the teaching profession is not about money. It's about the quality of the teachers. So we should pay good teachers more. And I wouldn't pay mediocre teachers more. I would pay good teachers more. So they have got a case, but we could do it within the existing budget.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Breakfast. We're going through the papers with Anna Firth and Pat Sharp. And Pat, let's have a look at this story in the Daily Express, shall we? Parents could use trackers so that their kids don't need to have smartphones. It's quite a good idea.
Yeah, it's really good with an AirTag or something like that. Are your kids at this very moment heading off to school under 16 years of age with a smartphone? In which case, how often will they be using it today? Will it mess up their lessons? Will they be having it under the desk?
They'll be glued to it, won't they?
Will they use it to cheat in exams and have a little Google? I don't know. But either way, I think that they are distracting, and 11% of schools have stopped them and banned them. And I think that has meant that those schools have done better. Is that right?
You're absolutely right, Pat. Only 11% of schools at the moment ban smartphones, but those schools that do, those kids get 1 or 2 grades higher in their GCSEs. So the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I actually think this is a brilliant story. I actually think this is probably the most important idea. This is the most important story because our kids are our future.
Yeah.
If we don't invest in our kids' education, we haven't got a future. And I think Laura Trott here, she's just been to Finland. She's just learnt what they've done over there, where they do ban smartphones, and seen the improvement in their mental health and their education. And she's come up with an absolutely brilliant idea here to put trackers, because what's the only reason that you give your kids a smartphone? I gave my kids a smartphone at 11.
Yeah,
it was safety.
You know where they are.
So I knew where they were, exactly. If we put trackers in their trainers, we won't need to give them smartphones. Job done. They'll get better results, we'll have better skilled, we'll have a better educated population, and we will be, better as a country. So well done, Laura Trott, for this. this, and I notice in this article that the Labour government education secretary is not supporting this.
What, Bridget Phillipson doesn't
not supporting this.
Why?
Appalling. I don't know. It doesn't tell us why, but well done, Laura Trott. More power to your elbow.
How do you deal with the peer pressure, though? And I think parents do suffer with peer pressure if their kids saying, well, everyone else in my class has got a smartphone, why can't I have one?
Well, you can have a dumb phone, which is basically a smartphone that doesn't do all the smart things, so your parents can still see where you are and how you're doing and on the way home, so that's quite good, as well as an AirTag. But, yeah, I know what you mean. If you can't suddenly, in your break, go on socials and see what's going on or how many likes you've got, and that's the peer pressure, isn't it? Oh, look, I've got more likes than you, I've got more followers than you. It's not good, is it?
No, and it's the bullying as well. I mean, back in the day, if you were bullied at school, at least you could come home to your sanctuary and not have to deal with it until the very next day. Yeah. Whereas if you've got your smartphone, I mean, you can be bullied on these chats, on the social media. I mean, there's no escape from it anymore.
I was a counsellor for 10 years, and for Internet Safety Day, I issued a challenge across Kent for all schools to try and challenge the kids and families to put their phones down at 7 o'clock at night and not pick them up again until 7 o'clock in the morning. And we had an away day at Chessington Weldon Adventures for anyone that completed the challenge. How many families, children, do you think successfully managed to do that?
Very few.
I bet none.
There's none.
Yeah.
That's very few.
Absolutely zero. Isn't that a tragedy?
Yeah.
You don't need your phone in your bedroom, and that's where the bullying happens. That's where they're staying up too late. They're dog-tired when they get to school in the morning, so they can't learn, and it's the mental health effect. We all know the effect on our mental health of doom scrolling. And it's even worse if it's at night. So, you know, this is so important that we get a handle on this for our kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
What if you set out to adopt a pig and you thought this pig was a micro pig and it wasn't, it was a very big pig, and it's turned out to be a very big, smelly and loud pig, and neighbours are complaining about it? Pat, tell us the story.
Well, this is Jack. Jack does have a name, and Jack belongs to Michelle Repper. And neighbours have complained after she adopted this with her husband Carl 6 years ago. It's grown.
God, it's like the size of a cow.
Yeah, well, there you are.
Gosh.
Oh,
I was imagining a little pink micro pig.
Yeah, well, that's...
No, but they were expecting a micro pig, but it's not a micro pig.
Yeah, this is a big lad, and they've been things shouted through the garden fence at them that the pig is disgusting. I mean, she said that the pig sleeps 6 hours a day. So what are you worried about? There's plenty of, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want that in the garden next door to you, though, do you? I've just googled what the pig was meant to look like. He's very cute. Can you see? It's tiny little.
And very micro.
And very micro. He's probably about this big.
It's like a gerbil.
It looks more like a gerbil, and then you've ended up with that. It's like a horse.
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
they could
in the back garden.
They could obviously sue whoever they got this from, couldn't they? It's a clear misrepresentation.
But how do you
isn't it?
accuse someone of having a pig that is too noisy and too smelly? Because that's what they are.
That's what they are, and that's what they do. They are very lovable and friendly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, and I find they're my favourite sort of meat. I have to say,
You can't say those two things in the same sentence.
They're my favourite type of meat.
But you said they were lovable and friendly.
And they're lovely and friendly, and they're my favourite type of meat.
Oh, no.
But I don't know how I could rear one and then eat it or sell it off to be killed.
And, of course, you need to watch Peppa Pig and be very upset.
Yes, yeah, very true.
I remember friends of mine used to have a different pig every year, and they used to call it deep freeze.
Oh.
Because that's where it would end up eventually.
No, that's upsetting.
Isn't that sad? But they looked after it, and it had a lovely life until, sadly, that's where it ended up.
So
Aren't pigs very clever?
Don't mix your micro and your pot bellies up. What were you saying?
They're very intelligent, aren't they, pigs?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
see, that makes me want to go vegan.
So while we're on the topic of pigs, can we do something about getting rid of these awful farrowing crates in this country? Did you know that pigs can spend a third of their year in farrowing crates where they have their piglets?
Awful.
They can't move.
Awful.
They can't interact with their piglets. They can't turn around. Absolutely appalling.
And the other thing that's appalling in this country is testing of animals that are confined in these similar conditions. And you know what they're used for nowadays? The main testing is to see what effect detergent, washing up liquid has on your hands.
Oh.
That's what we torture animals for in this country, and it is allowed to happen.
And next Tuesday, Eamonn, is Global Animal Free Research Day, and I'm hoping I can bring Lottie in to meet you.
Well, absolutely, and if there's anything I can do to help or support that, I would do that. And I say to people like Badenoch and Starmer and everything else, instead of all this rubbish that you all sit and talk about every day, relevant things, important things, animals being tortured type things, the welfare of animals, all sorts of things in life. You think, get a life, get things sorted out instead of all this nonsense and rubbish that we bury our heads in. I mean, look at this deal yesterday. Look at this deal. Really, would you think that's a day's work? Would you? You sit and say, like, we're going to give all our fishing away, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's absolutely laughable.
There was no reason to bring fishing into this. You know, why put fishing back on the table? We all know...
Because he's got nothing else to put on the table.
Yeah, but why? It's the same thing over and over again, isn't it? 40 years ago, Edward Heath sold our fishing industry down the Swanee, and it was at the 11th hour again that the EU came after our fishing then, and they've done the same thing. And Starmer should have been strong. He should have stood up to them, and he should have said, "Hands off our fishing. You've had plenty of plundering our fish. Enough is enough." And he didn't. He gave in.
Do you think the timing came into it, though, Anna? Do you think that the Prime Minister wanted these three deals done consecutively, wanted to see the momentum? So he was desperate. It was an 11th hour bid, and he thought, you know what, let's give them this.
I mean, none of us know exactly what went on behind closed doors, but that is absolutely my understanding, that once again, at the 11th hour, we sold our fishermen down the river, and it's not good enough.
Sarah Jones, the MP and the Minister of State for Industry, will be speaking to us after 9 o'clock this morning, and in just a couple of minutes' time, we've got Dame Priti Patel, who is the Shadow Foreign Secretary, giving her views on the deal and her interpretation of it.
We've got lots of viewers in touch with us this morning. Dawn says, "I believe Starmer is plotting a new Brexit referendum. He's been doing so since he became Labour leader." And Thomas says, "There's no deal with the EU. We have no benefit from the EU ourselves. The e-gates already existed. Our students could work in Europe if they applied for a special visa. So it seems we've given up money, our fishing industry and our borders. My question is, for what?"
Exactly.
Okay. Guys, appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. Come back and see us again in 40 minutes' time.
Yeah, get in touch with any of the stories that we've just been talking about there. I can see lots of them coming through already. Do keep them coming in. gbnews.com/yoursay.
It's going to be mostly a nice day today over most of the country, as Alex Deakin will now tell you. Here is the weather forecast for this Tuesday morning.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A fine sunny day for most places today, but we are again going to see a few showers, and they could be quite heavy, especially so across Northern Ireland. It is another pretty grey start over parts of southeast Scotland, northeast England. That cloud melting away through the morning, always potentially sticking to some of these coasts, but most places dry and sunny. But the clouds bubbling up this afternoon. We will see a few showers, maybe for Wales, certainly across Northern Ireland, perhaps southwest Scotland too. Feeling quite warm, though, a bit warmer than yesterday in the south, 23, 24, perhaps even up to 25 Celsius. Again, some of these North Sea coasts will be a little fresher, and certainly temperature will drop down where we see these heavy showers breaking out, which could easily affect parts of southern and western Northern Ireland. The far north of Scotland, always the possibility of the Ha returning here. Small chance of a shower over southwest Scotland, northwest England, but a greater risk of those showers for Northern Ireland, where there could be slow-moving thunderstorms. So just something to keep an eye on here through the day. Small chance of a shower too for Wales, perhaps even the Midlands, but most places across England and Wales dry and fine. It'll start to cloud over in the southwest a little bit as we go through the afternoon into the evening, so sunshine turning hazy, and then that cloud thickening up. We're more likely to see some rain coming into South Wales, southwest England as we go through the early hours. Elsewhere, a dry night to come. Again, that mist and low cloud just drifting back inland over parts of eastern Scotland and eastern England. Bit of a chilly one over Scotland. Temperatures well down into single figures here. Different feel, though, tomorrow for South Wales, South West England. More cloud and some outbreaks of rain. And we could see some heavy showers even developing over South East England and the Midlands. Could be some welcome rain, but if you get a heavy downpour, it's going to drop a lot of rain in a short space of time. Those heavy downpours will be very hit and miss. Many places, again, dry and fine. A drier day for Northern Ireland. Again, cool on some North Sea coasts. High teens, low 20s elsewhere.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24, sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com, highlighting issues across road networks. In Girvan, the A77 is closed for roadworks, with diversions available. On the M60 anti-clockwise at Junction 9, a broken-down vehicle has closed lanes, expecting normal conditions soon. Bedfordshire's M1 northbound is delayed due to a collision, closing 2 lanes. In Surrey, a lane on the M23 southbound is closed due to a broken-down vehicle. And on the trains, passengers using Great Western Railway and South Western Railway should expect major disruptions through Salisbury, with delays between Cardiff Central and Newport. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
What does it feel like to be a Great British Giveaway winner?
That's a big surprise.
Oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Do you know what? I've never won anything like this in my life.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
That is absolutely fantastic.
We're over the moon.
Yes, that is fantastic.
You know, you have no idea how much I needed it. Oh my goodness. That's wonderful. Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I was gobsmacked. Thank you, GB News.
I'd say don't hesitate, do it. If you're not in it, you've got no chance of winning it. Thank you.
You weren't expecting to get that call today, were you?
No, I wasn't.
You really could be our next big winner. Head over to gbnews.com/win now to find out how and get your entry for the Great British Giveaway. Great prizes, even greater wins.
Headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
We're proud to be GB News, the People's Channel. And as you know, we always love to hear your views. Now, there's a new way of getting in touch with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. By commenting, you can be part of a live conversation and join our GB News community. You can even talk to me, Bev Turner, or any of the members of the GB News family.
Keir Starmer surrenders to the European Union.
The Prime Minister is accused of Brexit betrayal.
He's done a total sellout on our fisheries. A large part of Brexit was taking back control of our fantastic coastal waters from January.
Boris Johnson hits out at the government's deal. Is this a goodbye kiss to Brexit?
And now worries about what this could all mean for Gibraltar. Our reporter Jack Carson is there for us.
A deal on Gibraltar could be very close. That's according to Antonio Costa, President of the European Council, and his comments yesterday. The concerns here over recent comments from Spain's foreign minister. I'll have all the details.
It's time. You got to stop this thing. And I believe he wants to stop.
After a 2-hour phone call with Vladimir Putin, President Trump says there's a good chance of peace between Russia and Ukraine.
The King and Queen at the Chelsea Flower Show ahead of the launch of a new charity campaign to get more young people into horticulture.
As the chief executive of the Royal College of Nursing says her profession is not taken seriously because it's 90% female, we're asking, are some jobs better suited to men?
A dry and sunny day for most places today, but we are expecting a few heavy showers, perhaps even 1 or 2 thunderstorms. Join me later for our full forecast to see if you could catch one.
Hello there, very good morning to you on this Tuesday morning. Welcome to the show. I'm Eamonn Holmes.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
We have so much to talk about today, and you've got plenty that you want to get off your chest.
Yeah.
Being from Grimsby, I've just given my local MP what I think was the best email I've ever sent, letting her have it like Starmer. He is a disgrace, and that is reflecting a lot of what you guys are saying. That one from Thomas.
Yeah, Henry says, I'm so weary with this government. Not been in power for 1 year yet, and chaos reigns. Britain is finished. I feel like we're being carved up and given away.
Dawn says, I believe Starmer's plotting a new Brexit referendum and has been doing so since becoming the Labour leader.
Talking about fish and chips, because we were talking to the National Federation of Fish Fryers earlier, and it is expected that the cost of fish and chips is going to go up. Grumpy's been in touch, don't think that should be our name, saying £11.90 for fish and chips. What a mess we're in. That used to be a cheap family meal. And Kit says, I would like to know exactly what they're negotiating on in Gibraltar. I sense another sellout.
Well, we're going to find out shortly, aren't we? Thank you very much indeed for that. Keep having your say, and we'll keep reflecting those in the programme today. So Keir Starmer has unveiled what he calls a reset dial with the European Union. Now, this is a move that he says will boost the UK economy by £9 billion. We're not sure over how long, but we're talking about quite a long time. But it will put Britain back on the world stage. His words, not mine.
Well, it was announced in London yesterday with EU leaders at his side, and the agreement includes access for European fishing fleets to British waters for 12 years, and it ties the UK to EU food standards and the European Court of Justice. Well, supporters call it a win-win, but critics warn that it edges Britain closer to the EU.
Views now of Fraser Myers from Spiked. Fraser, what do you think?
Well, I think this is a real betrayal of Brexit. Nearly 9 years ago, 17.4 million people voted to take back control of Britain's laws from the European Union. And now Keir Starmer is giving away a huge chunk, vast swathes of our economy to be essentially under EU oversight, particularly agriculture. The deal on fishing is an extraordinary betrayal. The fishermen there were at least due to be negotiations, annual negotiations from next year. That's what Norway and Iceland have. They have annual negotiations with the EU, but we're not going to be able to renegotiate that for another 12 years. That's a big smack in the face for coastal communities. It also, in terms of any future deal that we might want to do with the EU, because this is just the beginning of a process, it actually gets rid of a lot of the UK's leverage, because clearly access to UK fishing waters is something that the Europeans are very keen on. Macron was willing to potentially junk a deal on defence in exchange for these fishing waters. So the British government has given away a huge amount of leverage here, and it's not really clear what it's in return for.
Yeah, but one of the things that I don't think is really clear either, and we've got the Deputy Foreign Secretary coming on the programme very shortly, and I want to ask her this. Starmer said this puts Britain back on the world stage. Were you aware that we weren't on the world stage because we left Europe?
Well, precisely. I mean, you could see that, even before this meeting, Starmer has been at the forefront of the negotiations around Ukraine. The UK was the first country to get a trade deal with Donald Trump, with America, after the tariffs. We've just signed a comprehensive trade deal with India. This under Starmer's government as well. I think in the minds of the sort of Remainers in Whitehall, anything that gets us closer to the EU makes us better and more special.
Fraser, I can now put that question to the Deputy Foreign Secretary. We're delighted to say we can welcome Dame Priti Patel to the show this morning. Dame Priti,
good morning.
Good morning there. We were talking about Keir Starmer saying we're now back on the world stage. Were you aware that we weren't on the world stage?
What a
load of nonsense, quite frankly. That is utter rubbish from Keir Starmer, and not for the first time. It was Britain that led the international efforts when it came to Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. So I think he needs to go away and do some homework. And of course, it was Conservatives in government that led the way when it came to Britain post-Brexit, our place in the world, securing those trade deals, over 70 trade agreements during our tenure in government, Eamonn. So we're not going to listen to that nonsense from Keir Starmer, who just constantly wants to betray Britain, the democratic vote of the British people when it came to the Brexit referendum. And I think he needs to really go back and recalibrate his very smug comments.
Look, comments in the newspapers today, the headlines rule everything. You know, 95% of them very anti what happened, summed up by The Sun, which says we've been done up like a kipper. And the Mirror, though, this morning says this deal is a win-win. It's a win for shoppers, it's a win for tourists, it's a win for travellers, it's a win for businesses who will all feel the benefit. Do you accept that?
Well, I mean, the Mirror is the propaganda sheet for the Labour Party. There's no evidence for that, Eamonn. I mean, let's see the detail. Where's the economic impact assessment? The stuff on border and passport queues is just nonsense, because I don't think your viewers are fully aware of the fact that the EU have a digital system coming in anyway called the EU entry and exit system, which is basically their equivalent to the digital border system that we were put in place in the UK because the world has gone digital. And yet the government and Starmer claim that this is some great win. And by the way, when that comes in October, it will lead to queues because we have to all provide our biometrics and lots of personal data. So this is just wrong. It's misleading. You know, the government were claiming something like a £9 billion boost to the economy, but yet if you look at the detail, there are no facts on the figures. And by the way, that's over a 15-year period. They basically run down our country and our economy, you know, for their own purposes, and then inflate the figures to suit them for themselves. So this is simply not factually correct. And, you know, if newspapers like the Mirror want to put headlines like that forward, they need to show the facts and the details and the economic assessments, which, as far as I can see, not even the British government has done that so far.
Well, the British government is saying that they had to renegotiate with the EU because the deal that the Tories passed was full of holes. It wasn't oven-ready, like Boris Johnson had promised. There were queues at Dover because firms were struggling with all of the red tape that was left by Brexit. Boris Johnson had claimed that there'd be no border in the Irish Sea, but we know with the Northern Ireland Protocol there were still customs checks between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and there was a sense that the deal was rushed through government. You know, this Get Brexit Done campaign, there was very limited scrutiny. So the government would say that you didn't take advantage of Brexit.
Well, I'm very sorry to say I disagree with all of that. And look, I'm standing in front of the Parliament building right now, and I can tell you there was plenty of scrutiny in the House of Commons. Unlike the government yesterday, who were hiding, they refused to come to Parliament to present their so-called reset. And there's a very important point that I do want to make about your comments, is that it's completely untrue to say there was no scrutiny. But actually, those arrangements that were put in place by the Conservative government and Conservative governments were transitional arrangements. And basically, we were the ones that secured the trade cooperation agreement, which Keir Starmer, when he was Shadow Brexit Secretary and running campaigns to unpick Brexit, said could never be achieved. We were the ones that secured the tariff-free trade deal with the EU. Starmer said that couldn't be achieved. We were the ones that dealt with the security partnership, and Starmer said that could never be achieved. We had the greatest law enforcement
let me put this another way,
under
Dame Pretty.
Conservatives post-Brexit, which Starmer said could not be achieved.
Is this a betrayal of Brexit then?
100% it is. Keir Starmer never believed in Brexit. He spent all his time campaigning to unpick Brexit. He was being dishonest with the British public. He basically did not go into the general election last year and say that his reset would mean that we'd become a rule taker all over again and under the European Court of Justice, which is effectively what has happened. He deceived the British public. He never said that we'd end up paying the EU, and that's what we are doing again. Those were the fundamental reasons why the public voted to leave the EU and gave us as Conservatives in government that clear instruction that they wanted to leave and left us to get on and do that work, the hard work of getting Brexit done and leaving the EU.
Shadow Foreign Secretary, final point, briefly, quickly. Keir Starmer, he likes to give things away. We're in Gibraltar this morning. Do you think Gibraltar will be one of those things he's trying to give away?
We should never trust Keir Starmer. You know, he's screwing things up domestically, so he gets on the international bandwagon. He's selling us out, not just on Brexit, but on Chagos. And now, you saw it last week, we're hearing it again already. We're hearing all sorts of things about Gibraltar. We'll hold them to account, Eamonn, on this. But when Labour negotiates, Britain always seems to lose.
Shadow Foreign Secretary, appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Well, Fraser Myers is still with us. He's across all of that. What did you make of what you just heard from Dame Priti Patel?
Well, she's really come out swinging. I mean, I think it's good to see people on the Brexit side, the Conservatives and, of course, Reform, going really hard against this deal because it is a betrayal of Brexit. I hope that it doesn't stand by the time the next election comes around. People did not vote to give away so much power to the European Union, and in exchange for, you know, a few crumbs of growth. It is a bad deal, and it's one of a series of bad deals that Keir Starmer seems to have negotiated.
Do you think it would be reversed by the Conservatives or reversed by Reform if they were to form the next government?
Well, I think the worrying thing is that on the because the fishing aspect, that includes sanctions if it's reversed. So it will actually be quite difficult to unpick. Hopefully there will be other negotiations and things can move forward. But as things stand, it will be quite hard.
OK, Fraser Myers, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Fraser. Appreciate it. Thank you very much indeed. So there is concern about the deal in Gibraltar, and our reporter Jack Carson's there for us this morning. So let's cross to him and let's and fill in the details there as to what the fears are. Jack.
Well, thank you very much, Eamonn and Ellie. You join us in Gibraltar, what are known as the Union Jack or referendum steps. Let me get out the way so you can have a look at this. So these steps have been painted in memory of that 1967 referendum, which asked whether Gibraltar wanted Spanish sovereignty as well as retaining their British sovereignty, or whether they wanted to remain Gibraltarian and retain their British sovereignty. And they voted overwhelmingly in that referendum, 99.6%, to remain British. So there is a real deep patriotic feeling here in Gibraltar, and that is where the concerns are coming from over this possible deal that we're seeing and hearing from yesterday, particularly at that EU-UK summit, that a deal is very close indeed. The details of that deal we don't know, but there have been concerns in the recent few weeks when the Spanish Foreign Minister, José Manuel Albares, said that in order for the UK and the EU to have a full relationship going forward, there needed to be an agreement on Gibraltar. We know that Spain still has and retains its sovereignty claims over Gibraltar, and there are also concerns around what happens at Gibraltar International Airport, whether there could be Madrid border officials at that airport that the British citizens going to a British overseas territory might have to show their passports to in order to gain entry into the country. Here's what Antonio Costa of the European Council said yesterday at that EU summit.
Gibraltar, the Commission and the United Kingdom government are talking, negotiating. Maros Sefcovic and David Lammy is making a very good job. It's an ongoing job, work, and my feeling is we are not very close to conclude this work.
We are very close.
No, very? Not very fast. Not very fast, sorry.
An important correction.
Well, Chief Minister Picardo of Gibraltar, and stick with us because we're hopefully going to be speaking to him later on this morning, said that yesterday that a deal was excruciatingly close. We'll try and get some detail because there are a lot of concerns here. But you can see even just in the windows, you know, the Union flag flying there next to the Gibraltar flag as well. People here are fiercely Gibraltarian, they are fiercely British, and so that's where these concerns come from. They do need to have an agreement. Of course, it was only a transitional agreement after the UK left the European Union, and border officials turning a bit of a blind eye to those 15,000 people that come in and out of the border every day. So an agreement close, but concerns about just exactly that means.
OK, Jack Carson there for us in Gibraltar. Thank you very much.
Let's have a look at some of the other stories that we've got for you on this Tuesday morning. Hundreds of former sub-postmasters will be compensated by the Post Office after it accidentally leaked their names and addresses in June last year. The breach affected 555 victims of the Horizon IT scandal. The Post Office urges affected individuals to contact them or their solicitors to claim compensation.
Gary Lineker will leave his presenting role at the BBC this Sunday following the conclusion of Match of the Day for this season. On the announcement, BBC Director General Tim Davie says Gary has acknowledged the mistake he made. Accordingly, we have agreed that he will step back from further presenting after this season.
The Chelsea Flower Show opens to the public today, and the King, in a preview yesterday, has praised the show for lifting spirits through nature. Yesterday afternoon, he toured the event alongside the Queen. They met, amongst others, David Beckham, ahead of the upcoming campaign by the King's Foundation, which will aim to encourage young people to consider taking up work in horticulture. Well, let's take a breather there with that one and get a look at the weather that you may well have in store today. Here is the forecast with Alex Deacon.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A fine sunny day for most places today, but we are again going to see a few showers, and they could be quite heavy, especially so across Northern Ireland. It is another pretty grey start over parts of southeast Scotland, northeast England. That cloud melting away through the morning, always potentially sticking to some of these coasts, but most places dry and sunny. But the clouds bubbling up this afternoon. We will see a few showers, maybe for Wales, certainly across Northern Ireland, perhaps southwest Scotland too. Feeling quite warm, though, a bit warmer than yesterday in the south, 23, 24, perhaps even up to 25 Celsius. Again, some of these North Sea coasts will be a little fresher, and certainly temperature will drop down where we see these heavy showers breaking out, which could easily affect parts of southern and western Northern Ireland. The far north of Scotland, always the possibility of the Har returning here. Small chance of a shower over southwest Scotland, northwest England, but a greater risk of those showers for Northern Ireland, where there could be slow-moving thunderstorms. So just something to keep an eye on here through the day. Small chance of a shower too for Wales, perhaps even the Midlands, but most places across England and Wales dry and fine. It'll start to cloud over in the southwest a little bit as we go through the afternoon into the evening, so sunshine turning hazy, and then that cloud thickening up. We're more likely to see some rain coming into South Wales, southwest England as we go through the early hours. Elsewhere, a dry night to come. Again, that mist and low cloud just drifting back inland over parts of eastern Scotland and eastern England. Bit of a chilly one over Scotland. Temperatures well down into single figures here. Different feel, though, tomorrow for South Wales, southwest England. More cloud and some outbreaks of rain. And we could see some heavy showers even developing over southeast England and the Midlands. Could be some welcome rain, but if you get a heavy downpour, it's going to drop a lot of rain in a short space of time. Those heavy downpours will be very hit and miss. Many places, again, dry and fine. A drier day for Northern Ireland. Again, cool on some North Sea coasts. High teens, low 20s elsewhere.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed Home Battery Storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Talking about the Chelsea Flower Show, the King was there yesterday, and I was saying that I can't keep anything alive, and I've got 3 dead orchids on my windowsill, wasn't I? So I've got a nice view from Paula. She said, "Morning, Ellie. I'm definitely no orchid expert, but I have managed to revive them by accident, not knowledge.
Ooh.
They were dying and looked ugly, so I moved them to the utility room, which is east-facing." Apparently that's very important. And then put a couple of ice cubes on the top of the pot every week or 2. And they came back to life.
So would the ice cubes just turn into water?
Just a little bit of water. That's only a tiny amount of water every 2 weeks. So that's the trick. 2 ice cubes every 1 to 2 weeks seems to work. Good luck, she says.
Very good.
So I'm going to give it a go. And I'll let you know if I bring my orchids back to life.
If you're going to give our competition a go, you could do a lot worse. This is the Great British Giveaway, and have a look at how great it is.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. It has plenty of room for your family of 4, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. And the best news? You can drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Don't delay. You can't win if you're not in the draw. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck. Now, do stay with us still to come, as the Chief Executive of the Royal College of Nursing says her profession is not taken seriously because it's 90% female. We're asking, are some jobs better suited to men? We're going to be debating
fairly or unfairly. But I don't see, do you look at nurses and don't think they're up to scratch because they're female?
No, not at all. But I do think maybe it's more of a feminine profession because it is caregiving. I don't know if you're allowed to say that anymore. But it is a feminine profession, and there are lots of masculine professions as well. But anyway, let us know what you think. We're going to be debating that next.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Lee Anderson's Real World, Fridays from 7 p.m.
My mum booted me out. She kicked me out. I was 15 going on 16. Yeah. And she'd had enough. And, you know, I think she, like lots of parents, have their own issues as well. And I slept on the streets of Manchester for 12 months, which is, you know, was sort of an experience in itself. Regular occurrence, being beaten up, being urinated on, getting ill, feeling horrible. And someone took me in at first, and so I was essentially groomed into a gang that you know, were involved in nefarious means, and it was similar. It wasn't drugs, but it was similar to sort of the stuff you hear about county lines, where I was essentially a bit of a stooge, bit of a runner. Here, go and do us a favour, and we'll put a roof over your head. That then I fled that eventually after I think close to a year. And it all come crumbling down. A few months later, there was phone calls from the police. You need to come in, otherwise we're going to arrest you.
When did you change?
I thought, I'm trying to find a bit of part-time work to get by around college. And they said, well, the thing is, it's the law. We've got to be careful about data protection. And in my sort of naive mind at the time, I thought, right, I'm going to write to my MP. They can change the law. They're going to do it. We're going to, you know,
good luck with that.
This. Yeah, quite. I know now the difference. So in the end, I've always been a bit creative and a bit of a talker, as you'll know.
Yeah.
I thought, no, I'm going to interview my MP. I thought, no, actually, I'm going to interview MPs, plural. So I went around the country, essentially knocking on doors with a letter, explaining my situation, going, this isn't right. So I interviewed Jonathan Aitken, former Tory Cabinet Minister. Andy Burnham took me under his wing because I had a bit of a go at him and said, you've agreed with me for the last 45 minutes of this interview. What have you done about it?
Yeah.
And he said, I like your attitude. Why don't you come and shadow me in Westminster?
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Now, when you think of being a nurse, you think of being a woman, and 90% of the profession is female. But the union chief of their union thinks nurses aren't taken seriously because they are women when it comes to investment in the industry and when it comes to pay and conditions.
Well, another profession that's in the headlines this week is, of course, fishing. And many women working as fishermen or fisherwomen often face gender stereotypes for a field that is obviously still dominated by men.
I mean, both hard professions, really hard professions.
Yeah.
This begs the question, are some jobs just better suited to being a man, or are you conditioned to think they are? And I mean, would you think, I mean, I wouldn't think of being a fisherman because I just couldn't. I wouldn't think of being a nurse either, probably because I just couldn't. So, I mean, that would rule me out of both of those.
I'd be ruled out too.
Yeah?
I like the idea of being a nurse, being a caregiver. I think you're a very good person if you're a nurse.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, much better people than we are, but no, difficult one. Political commentator Charlie Downs on this one, and Isla Gale works the boats as well. Guys, good morning to both of you. Isla, I honestly, I was looking at something on Discovery Channel over the weekend about trawlers in Grimsby, and I just thought, no, not for me. So my respect to you, but they couldn't pay me enough money, Isla, to do what you do.
Thank you. It's definitely a profession that you've got to love to be in it.
Yeah.
And how many women are in it, Isla? Are you the only one that you know of, or are there lots of you?
No, there's a good few of us now. We have a little connection group and it's great. There's more and more. It's growing by the day, which is absolutely amazing.
Oh, that's brilliant. But it is a male-dominated field, isn't it? Why do you think that is the case, or has been the case in the past?
Physicality, isn't it?
I think a lot comes down to the word tradition. It's traditionally a man's job, whereas now I think the word tradition is a barrier for young girls that we have to get past. It's not just... Tradition doesn't make sense anymore. It's not a logical word. It's just something we have to get past.
But Isla, I mean, your job, you go away for what, 2 or 3 nights or so, maybe more, in all sorts of weather, in all sorts of condition. You work with machinery that could rip your arm off, rip your head off, whatever. You're dealing with live animals all the time. It's really, why did you want to be a fisher person?
I love the job. I fell in love with the job from a young age. I've been full-time fishing since I was 15, so just over 5 years now, and I've never wanted to do anything else. I went to the fishing and I fell in love with it. It is dangerous, it is hard work, but there's just no better feeling than being at sea for me.
I know. Charlie, hard work, she says. I mean, that's putting it lightly, I would have thought. I mean, I also would have thought that, I mean, you and me aren't women, but I don't think you and me would want to do Isla's job.
No, I don't think so. It sounds very demanding, and I think Isla is due enormous respect for taking up that profession. But one thing I will say is I actually couldn't disagree more that tradition is an illogical or outdated thing. I actually think that tradition is maybe the thing that we lack most in the modern world, because young people especially are so without a sense of belonging or identity that they seek it in other places. They seek it in things like, gender, sexuality, and indeed work. And yet I think that this narrative that has been dominant about work for the better part of 50 years, which is that, gender differences and gender roles, traditional gender roles, are essentially socially constructed. I think we are seeing that that's turning out to be nonsense. That is the thing that is illogical, because we're finding that if you live by those traditional gender roles, and I can tell you that there are plenty of young women in my own life, anecdotally, who are discovering this, it leads to greater fulfillment, greater happiness, greater satisfaction, a greater sense of belonging, and just a greater sense of doing what you're supposed to be doing as a human being sort of on this earth. And so I think that whilst there are exceptions, certainly like Isla, I think as a general rule, there are certainly jobs that are better suited to men and jobs that are better suited to women. And those ones that are better suited to men are the ones that I think allow man to act out his duties, which is to provide and protect and to procreate. And the same goes for those roles that are suited to women, which is sort of nurturing and nourishment. And this is not some outdated view. This is actually an expression of biological and spiritual reality.
Okay, have you come across that biological and spiritual reality, Isla? I mean, are there men who would look at you and think, you know, what are you doing? Because actually there are good luck and bad luck theories, aren't there, about women on boats?
Yes, there is myths, but I've had a lot of criticism over the years and I'm still going through it now. And I think I will go through it my whole career with men, even fishermen, saying, oh, well, she's a girl, she's this, that and the other. But in my experience, if a girl does the same work as a man and she can do it up to the same level as a man, then they deserve to be treated the same in any job, let alone just in the fishing. I think it's shining a spotlight on the fishing because it is such a physical job, but it is a skilled job as well. So if a woman's got that level and she's got them skills and she's got that resilience, then I don't think there should be any question if she is a man or a woman. If she's good crew or she's a good skipper or she's just good on the boat, then she's just good. It shouldn't be she's good for a girl or she's a girl because she's this. I think
there's a lot of worries, Charlie, as well about how either men or women go into certain professions. I mean, I'm thinking primary school teachers. There's a big worry that there aren't enough men as primary school teachers.
Well, I think that is certainly a worry because male influence is just as important as female influence on children, certainly. But I think that something that Isla was just touching on there, which I think is really important, is do we actually want a society where men and women are competing with each other? Because actually that has been the final outcome of kind of the 20th century feminism, if you want, is actually, women were promised liberation. And actually what they've been rewarded is, the ability to become cogs in the capitalist machine alongside men. And I don't think that's a particularly fulfilling or rewarding existence. I think the idea that women should be made to compete with men in a corporate or business environment is not, it doesn't really make for good gender relations in that society, certainly, and it doesn't make for satisfaction at the individual level.
I suppose the point there, Isla, is that women now have the choice, don't they? If they want to be part of the corporate world, they can be, and if they want to be out on a boat with fishermen, then they can do that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think every person's different as well. Like you said before, fishing might not be for you, but for me, it's my way of life and I love it. And there's so many women now in the sector that even over the last 5 years since I've started, I've got to know so many women in the sector and they are excelling at it. So I think that speaks volumes for itself that there is women doing really, really well in the fishing industry.
Okay.
Gosh, well, look, great talking to us. And Charlie, thank you very much indeed. Very interesting what you had to say, Charlie. I just want to speak to Isla here before we go, because Isla, on this day that fisher people are all over the front of the papers today, and this deal that the government's done with Europe, just where is your port? Where do you operate out of? And what is your gut reaction to what you're reading and what you're hearing on the news?
So I work out of the Isle of Man. That's where I have worked for years now, but I do travel around the country just with the boat that I'm on. But I'm originally from the Isle of Man, and that's where most of my fishing experience is from. I read something this morning, and once I'm out of here, I'm going to go read more about it because I am definitely interested in what's gone on this morning. But right now, I think speaking to somebody who's read it all and who's an industry professional would be better, because I haven't fully collected my opinion on it.
Understand. Thank you very much. Respect that, Isla. Thank you very much, Isla and Charlie. Thank you both.
Yeah, let us know what you think on that one. Are there jobs that are better suited to men or to women? Let us know. gbnews.com/your say. Now, if you're travelling to work or school this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A77 is closed in Girvan. Follow the diversion. On the M6 northbound in Cumbria, one lane is closed between junctions 41-42. On Bedfordshire's M1 northbound between junctions 11A-12, 2 lanes are closed due to a collision with 20-minute delays until 11:15. Wiltshire's M4 eastbound exit slip at junction 17 is closed. And on the trains, major disruption persists through Salisbury on Great Western Railway and South Western Railway, with issues between Cardiff Central and Newport in South Wales. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Lots of views already coming in on that debate. Megan says most patients actually prefer a female nurse. Women have more sensitive or embarrassing body parts than men, says Megan. Wolf says men prefer things and women prefer people. That's why men are typically found in more hands-on jobs like engineering, whereas women are typically found in roles that involve people like nursing.
Yeah, I'm just reading complications about the Gibraltar situation and how it affects veterinary products. The deal doesn't cover veterinary products. That includes Cyprus and Gibraltar, including Malta and Northern Ireland. And it means that animal checks will stay in place in these countries, and therefore they will have larger costs on veterinary outlets, and basically food will cost more, not less, which is what the government is saying.
Well, we're going to be speaking to the government just after 9 o'clock this morning, so we can put that to them, because we do want to know what this deal is going to mean for Gibraltar. Lots of questions this morning.
What's in the papers and what do our reviewers, Pat Sharp and Anna Firth, think about those? There they are, back with those two right after this.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, no, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop star to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
The newspaper front pages make interesting reading today. We lead with The Sun, done up like a kipper, reports The Sun, and you've got a kipper split down the middle there. It details Keir Starmer's deal to bow down to EU judges.
And this actually comes from GB News. Our very own political editor, Christopher Hope, put a question to the Prime Minister yesterday, and that has made up The Sun's front page today. Kiss goodbye to Brexit, says the Daily Telegraph, as it reports that Sir Keir Starmer is being accused of attempting to drag Britain back into the EU.
Daily Mail leads also with the backlash to the new trade deal, labelling it as Starmer's surrender.
The Daily Mirror reports on the new Euro pact, with the PM saying the deal is a win-win.
Guardian highlights the PM's pledge that the new EU deal puts Britain back on the world stage.
Daily Star tackles the backlash against Keir Starmer with this assessment from Boris Johnson, who described the Prime Minister as an orange ball-chewing gimp. Also, a GB News clip from Boris Johnson yesterday with that interview that we did. So we've made up 2 front pages today, which is quite good going, isn't it?
What, we came out with that quote?
Yes, from the Boris Johnson interview that we did yesterday. It was
brilliant, your interview.
Really yeah, brilliant. So...
OK. Anna Firth and Pat Sharp here today with their views on those stories and more. Overall view of what we've got in terms of the European deal, Pat?
Poor. Yeah, not a good deal at all. No deal.
Deal or no deal, Anna?
Absolute sellout, particularly for our fishermen. As one of my fishermen has said, Starmer must be a secret agent because he just keeps giving everything away. He's giving away our fish. He's now planning to give away free movement. He's already given away the Chagos Islands. I'm afraid I think this is appalling.
But he's not very James Bond, is he, really?
And he certainly isn't that.
No. Pat, when it comes to a wedding gift registry...
Go on, Ellie, this is for you, really.
Tesco's is the new place to go to.
Yeah, this is, Ellie, you're going to love this. This is your... I know what you want.
I'm in the market for a wedding gift.
OK, so when you have your big summer wedding, OK, we're looking at 5 packs of 12 loo rolls.
What?
No, wait for it. 2 tubes of toothpaste and some bin liners, kitchen towel, antibacterial hand wash and some shower products, because that is more useful than getting something you're going to hold on to, a piece of china that you're never going to bother to dust.
He has a point, doesn't he?
He does have a point. I mean, at least I've used it, but it's not very romantic.
Well, they say romance is not dead with a loo roll, so happy wedding day to you.
Oh, no.
I think this is absolutely terrible. We've still in our kitchen got some mugs and some things that we've got tea bags in that we got on our wedding.
And do you like them?
I love the fact that they remind me of the people that came to our wedding.
But do you like them?
Yes, I do, because I chose them. I did choose them.
But what happens when you're out of loo rolls? You can't just go to that wedding gift from however many years ago and think, oh, there's a spare loo roll I got on my wedding day. This is Tesco saying every little helps, and these are the wedding gifts that they apparently want to put out as an offer because they're more useful to people rather than having useless wedding gifts.
I say bog off to that.
That's why I won't get one free, of course.
Weddings are so expensive, aren't they? So
they're very expensive.
Isn't it something like it takes a year on average to pay off your wedding? So you can see why
you'll be going for more than a year,
won't you?
I'll be
going for decades.
Yeah.
We had 307 people at a London hotel for our daughter's wedding.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Still paying it off, Ellie.
Oh, my gosh. Well, we are asking for cold hard cash towards the honeymoon fund.
Yes, fair enough.
Which I think is what a lot of people do these days.
I'll throw in some cash and a loo roll.
Thank you. Taking donations.
Talk to me about fat jabs and life after fat jabs.
So this is Tony Blair's great idea. So, let's take this with a massive bucket of salt, because if Tony Blair tells me anything, if he were to tell me the sun was shining, I'd go and look out of the window.
But it is today.
And it is today. It is today. No, I mean, the thing is, obesity is a really serious problem in this country, and it's affecting children, and that is an absolute tragedy. And of course, it is costing the economy a lot of money. But what Blair is, and so I would be all in favour, and it's already happening, giving fat jabs to people who are clinically obese, who are really having a problem. But what Blair is saying here is let's give them in the post to over 50% of the population. I mean, doing the sums, he's suggesting that they are given to, it says, it could be up to 26 million people, even if it's 15 million people. We're talking about taxpayers spending £15 billion
Oh, this would be on
the
NHS.
Oh, yeah, on the NHS. Oh, yeah, we'd be paying for this, Ellie. Now, I do not want my hard-earned cash, I'm afraid, going to adults. The cheapest way for them to lose weight, and which is free for me as the taxpayer, is for them to just simply eat less and move more.
It's not. It's so not. If you turn the clock back 50 years or so, people weren't the size they are today. And the reason they're the size they are today is that successive governments allow the food industry to run wild and make whatever they want, and no one checks up on it. We talk about avoid processed food. Everything is processed. Everything. A loaf of bread is processed. Orange juice is processed. I could go on and on and on and on. And that is the only option we're given in shops, practically.
So we come to blows on this, Eamonn. Of course, there are special cases. I don't disagree with that. But you can get your children into good.
I know, love. I know what people are
and
supposed to do, but what people do are two different things.
They are, but I've got 3 kids, and my youngest, my son, went to a different nursery to my girls, and in that nursery they said to me I could bring in whatever snacks I wanted for him, but they had to be fruit or vegetable, so they had to be apples, bananas. Do you know, even to this day, he will still reach for an apple, whereas my girls will reach for a packet of crisps.
Because they instilled that lesson in him.
They instilled that lesson in him when he was really young, and it's made him healthier. So why can't we just have a massive let's actually get healthy campaign? Let's promote our wonderful apples, our wonderful fruit and veg, our British fruit and veg, and let's not. Who's going to benefit from this? It's going to be big pharma. I bet you Tony Blair's
Big
got
pharma. You're absolutely right, and they will win.
They'll save a fortune for the NHS.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is absolutely right, but I think it's unachievable. That's my view. Let's be back after the break, and we'll talk more right after this.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Heavy showers for central and northern Italy and Croatia over the next few days. Generally sunny over the Greek islands. Plenty of sunshine for Iberia at the moment, but we are looking at more wet weather, especially for northern Spain and the Balearics come the end of the week. There are those showers over Italy, some pretty heavy downpours over parts of the Balkans. Will continue with the risk of showers here through the week. Sunny skies for most of the Greek islands, certainly for Cyprus and much of Turkey as well. Santorini stays sunny for the rest of the week.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain's newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
John, you are an extraordinary man. You are 100 years and 6 months.
Correct, yeah.
How do you do it? You look fantastic.
Just not overdoing it with living and that, no, not going out and getting drunk and all that. What can I say? Just lived a normal life.
Yeah. Now, you joined the Navy in 1943. You were a very young man.
Yeah. I was just turned 18.
How nervous were you? Were you very nervous?
No, I wanted to go.
To fight for king and country?
Yeah.
And, of course, one day, your own ship was hit by a flying bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently what happened there on the second day of landings at Anzio, and this was on the evening, because what we used to have to do was what they called dusk and dawn action stations, which is the worst time for visibility. And this particular night, 23rd of January, I'll never forget it. We never even heard them. That must have been that high up. And they had either glider bombs or torpedoes on. So whether it was a bomb or a torpedo that hit us, but all I was on the stern of the ship, what they called the X-gun. And when I looked round, there was a terrific bang. And when I looked round, the front half of the ship was gone.
Gosh.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
So we've got Anna and we've got Pat here today going through stories in the newspaper. Got some breaking news coming in, Ellie.
Yes, we do. A Romanian national has been charged in relation to fires which damaged properties and a car linked to the Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer last week. He's been charged with conspiracy to commit arson with intent to endanger life. The Metropolitan Police have said he'll appear at Westminster Magistrates Court later on this morning. And, of course, we'll bring that to you and more detail on that on GB News throughout the morning. Now, on fishing, and our political editor, Christopher Hope, was at the EU summit yesterday and spoke to the Prime Minister. Let's have a listen.
Scottish Fishermen Association or Federation say your deal is a horror show, far worse than Boris Johnson's botched Brexit agreement. Are they right? Have you been stitched up like a kipper by the European Union?
Does it bring down bills? And I think it's really important to see the reaction of supermarkets, of Salmon Scotland, to begin to answer that question, because they are celebrating this because they know it will reduce prices. Does it boost jobs in security, in defence, steel, of course? And then, of course, does it take vital measures to help protect our borders? And it answers all of those questions, which I think are fundamentally important for working people. Thank you.
Saw that our political editor Christopher Hope putting that question to the Prime Minister, and that has made the front page of The Sun this morning, done up like a kipper. What do you make of it, Anna Firth?
I really, really fear that we are going to see the end of our small fishing fleets. I think Starmer has absolutely betrayed our fishermen. And as you know, I come from Leon Sea, and it's not just about the fish, although you know, it's a disaster for these big EU trawlers to be coming over into our waters. You know, they take 450 to 500 million pounds of fish out of our waters. We only take 75 million out of theirs. It's a fundamentally unfair thing, but it's going to destroy 1,000 years of history. You know, our Leon Sea fishermen go back to the Doomsday Book, and it's hard enough to find young people to actually take on those jobs. Okay. But this destroys the future for them.
We have to buy our fish and chips and support our local.
We've been talking about that all morning. I want to talk about. Pat, when you were a kid, did you kick a football or tennis ball cricket ball into the neighbour's garden?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the phrase as a kid would always be, "Hey, mister, can I have my ball back?" Wouldn't it?
And could you? We used to get ours back with a knife in them.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's mean.
Well, that's the way it is. So, Anna, this story's in the Mail. Children who kick balls over garden fences are breaking the law, says a judge, and this is in relation to a school.
Yeah.
You've got 45 seconds.
OK, so these people sitting in their £2 million mansion next to this school pitch have got upset. Now, I think the school have taken very reasonable measures, stopped the use of the pitch at 4:15 in the afternoon, put up nets. I think that the couple have gone over the top, and the judge says that as well. But he's given them £1,000 for nuisance. It's for nuisance. It's not that they're breaking any sort of criminal law. I mean, I think you buy a house next to a school, you're going to expect the odd ball, aren't you?
We used to play on the street, and we used to, when I think of it now, hit people's cars and all sorts of things. Awful, awful. For my sins, I am truly sorry, O Lord. And to all those old neighbours, here's Alex Deacon with the weather.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A fine sunny day for most places today, but we are again going to see a few showers, and they could be quite heavy, especially so across Northern Ireland. It is another pretty grey start over parts of southeast Scotland, northeast England. That cloud melting away through the morning, always potentially sticking to some of these coasts, but most places dry and sunny. But the clouds bubbling up this afternoon. We will see a few showers, maybe for Wales, certainly across Northern Ireland, perhaps southwest Scotland too. Feeling quite warm, though, a bit warmer than yesterday in the south, 23, 24, perhaps even up to 25 Celsius. Again, some of these North Sea coasts will be a little fresher, and certainly temperature will drop down where we see these heavy showers breaking out, which could easily affect parts of southern and western Northern Ireland. The far north of Scotland, always the possibility of the Ha returning here. Small chance of a shower over southwest Scotland, northwest England, but a greater risk of those showers for Northern Ireland, where there could be slow-moving thunderstorms. So just something to keep an eye on here through the day. Small chance of a shower too for Wales, perhaps even the Midlands, but most places across England and Wales dry and fine. It'll start to cloud over in the southwest a little bit as we go through the afternoon into the evening, so sunshine turning hazy, and then that cloud thickening up. We're more likely to see some rain coming into South Wales, southwest England as we go through the early hours. Elsewhere, a dry night to come. Again, that mist and low cloud just drifting back inland over parts of eastern Scotland and eastern England. Bit of a chilly one over Scotland. Temperatures well down into single figures here. Different feel, though, tomorrow for South Wales, southwest England. More cloud and some outbreaks of rain. And we could see some heavy showers even developing over southeast England and the Midlands. Could be some welcome rain, but if you get a heavy downpour, it's going to drop a lot of rain in a short space of time. Those heavy downpours will be very hit and miss. Many places, again, dry and fine. A drier day for Northern Ireland. Again, cool on some North Sea coasts. High teens, low 20s elsewhere.
Expect a warm front, moving from the kitchen right through to the rest of the house. Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24, sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A77 is closed from Dalrymple Street to Glendoon Street in Girvan for essential maintenance. Please follow signed diversions. On the M4 westbound, between junctions 46 and 47, electrical work has closed slip roads with one lane shut. Diversions assist drivers. In Surrey, on the M23 southbound between junctions 8 and 9, a broken down vehicle has closed one lane. Stay vigilant to avoid disruptions. And on the trains, expect disruptions between Cardiff Central and Newport, and between London King's Cross and Stevenage due to service interruptions. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24, sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Someone is going to win the biggest prize package to date, and that someone could be you, driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. It has plenty of room for your family of four, comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Headlines this morning: Sir Keir Starmer surrenders to the European Union.
The Prime Minister is accused of Brexit betrayal.
He's done a total sellout on our fisheries. A large part of Brexit was taking back control of our fantastic coastal waters.
Boris Johnson hitting out at the government's European deal. Is this a kiss goodbye to Brexit?
Well, earlier we spoke to Shadow Foreign Secretary Dame Priti Patel.
Deceived the British public. He never said that we'd end up paying the EU, and that's what we are doing again.
Now concerns turn to Gibraltar. Our reporter Jack Carson for us this morning.
An agreement set to be very close, over the words of Antonio Costa yesterday in that press conference, the EU-UK Reset Deal Summit. But what could it mean for people here in Gibraltar? I'll be speaking to Chief Minister Fabian Picardo next.
It's time. You got to stop this thing. And I believe he wants to stop.
After a 2-hour phone call with Vladimir Putin, President Trump says there's a good chance of peace between Russia and Ukraine.
The King and Queen are at the Chelsea Flower Show yesterday. That's ahead of today's opening to the general public and the launch of a new charity campaign to get more young people into horticulture. Could you be one of them?
A dry and sunny day for most places today, but we are expecting a few heavy showers, perhaps even 1 or 2 thunderstorms. Join me later for our full forecast to see if you could catch one.
It's a Tuesday morning. A very good morning to you from me, Eamonn Holmes.
And me, Ellie Costello. And this is GB News Breakfast.
The European deal is dominating most of what we've been doing this morning, and the reaction from you today. So we're now delighted to join the Minister of State for Industry, Sarah Jones. Sarah, good morning to you.
Morning.
Sarah, you will have had obviously a chance more than most people to digest what this deal offers the country. Now, if I'm to look at the newspapers, they would say it offers very, very little. Tell me otherwise. What is in it for us? How much is it worth, and over how long?
So I was with the steel industry yesterday. They are delighted they're not going to have to pay hundreds of £1 million in carbon tax that we're avoiding because we're joining up on energy policies. I was with industries from the automotive industry, Make UK, our manufacturers. I was with the British Chambers of Commerce, the CBI. All of these organisations are delighted because this deal will bring us £9 billion a year in benefits by 2040. Really crucially, and just to focus on the nuts and bolts of it, at the moment we have this ridiculous situation where if we want to trade with our closest trading partner, we have to pay hundreds of pounds per lorry load in admin costs. We have queues at the borders that means that things rot, things go off, so we've had businesses go bust and the prices have rocketed and the amount of exports we've done has collapsed since the previous government's deal. We will sweep all that away. That is important. It will make a significant difference to our export, and it's a pragmatic solution to what was intolerable situation.
And how much extra are British taxpayers going to pay for this deal? Because one estimate in the papers today is putting it at £16 billion in the first year.
Yeah, we do not recognise these figures. We are not paying, just to be super clear, we are not paying for market access in terms of the EU. We're not going back into the EU. We are a third party. We're not part of the EU. That's really important. Any costs that we have to pay for the administrative running of any of the schemes that we do, for example, will be massively outweighed by the advantages. Now, if you've got any deal like the Horizon deal at the moment, for example, the Horizon scheme, we pay into that and we get benefits out. That was negotiated by the previous government. That's entirely normal. So the agri-food deal that we've got, where we'll be able to trade with our nearest partners in a much better way, the kind of costs of managing that deal will be negotiated as you would expect and shared between us.
Sarah, talking about costs, figuratively or physically, why does it seem that the fishermen and women are having to pay so much, give up so much for this deal?
Well, look, our fishing industry is important to us all, we know that. What we have done is negotiated the status quo for another 12 years. So what the previous government had negotiated, to be really clear, was that the current situation would stop in 2026 and be replaced by annual negotiations. There is no guarantee we would have come out well in those negotiations. We might have done badly in them, and every year we would have had the uncertainty of what might happen next. What we have negotiated is no more access than exists now for our European partners in British waters, and the same access that our UK fishermen have in EU waters, which brings millions of pounds of benefits. But really crucially, two things. First, it's not just about fishing, it's about how you can sell it, and we can now sell it much more. It won't be rotting at the borders. We can sell it much more, which is great, which is why people like Scottish Salmon have welcomed it, because we can secure that market and that trade. And we've set aside a fund for our fishing industry, £360 million, which will help with things like modernisation of fleets, which we know can come at high capital costs. We want to help them do that.
Sarah, I have to say, whether people accept what you say or believe you or not, it's very interesting talking to you and hearing this whole side of the argument, because this is not reflected really in the media, and this is not the message that is going out there. So just to be clear here, are you actually saying this is not a betrayal of Brexit?
Absolutely 100%. And, the media tells you different things. Different papers say we haven't gone far enough. Other papers say we've gone too far. What we are being is we are throwing aside the old language, the old ideology. We used to have a Prime Minister, remember, who said that we weren't even sure if the French were our allies. We have bridge building to do, which we've done. But more importantly, we want to increase trade with Europe, because that will mean more money, more jobs. Our British brilliant companies that we are all so proud of are being held back because they can't trade with the EU. That's nonsense, and we are sweeping that away, and that is pragmatic and that is practical. And anybody who clings to the language of the past, is not doing what's best for people and jobs and money. We want people to be able to trade. We don't want rotting produce at the border, and we are sweeping that away, and that is significant. And of course, we don't have every answer to every question. This is the start. There will be things we have to negotiate going forward, which we will do, but we will always do it in the national interest.
What does this deal mean for Gibraltar?
Well, Gibraltar is done and negotiated separately
we're told the deal is closed.
This deal, so it will be separate. I know you're... Yeah, and my colleagues are involved in that. I am not part of those deals, so I can't tell you more information about that at this point, but it is done separately. Of course, Gibraltar is, incredibly important and will be considered in such a way by this government. But this deal is separate to what happens in Gibraltar and, sits alongside our deal with India, the fastest growing economy in the world, our deal with the US, the largest economy in the world. Britain's back on the world stage, fastest growing economy in the G7.
Can I ask you then about the youth mobility agreement? Do you have a cap for how many people will be able to come to the UK? Because it could be a staggering 80 million that would be eligible for this programme, and that would be disastrous, wouldn't it be, for the net migration figures that you yourself have said needs to come down?
There will be a cap. And the cap will be negotiated. There will not be 80 million people coming into this country. That is nonsense. What we will see, in the same way that we have with the 13 other similar schemes that we have with other countries, I think the New Zealand one, for example, was negotiated by the previous government. You have to have a visa to come in. There is a cap on the numbers of people. There is a limit to the amount of time you can spend in the country. You can't access things like social security without paying. There is a whole bubble around this, which means it is very different from immigration. It is a scheme to help young people have an experience in a different country. Our young people in this country, many of them want to have an experience in a European country, maybe in their gap year, maybe for a short period of time, and that's what this opens up. It sits alongside our immigration announcements last week that will bring down net migration that we know everybody wants to see, because the levels quadrupled and that was unsustainable, and will bring those numbers down.
So interestingly, Sarah, you're talking very positively. Do you feel positive about this deal? Do you feel good about this deal? Obviously, there's much more to achieve and much more to do, but as ground steps, as foundations, what do you feel about this?
Of course, this is positive. All of the industries I was with yesterday, I mean, we know the pains that our steel industry have gone through in terms of managed decline, turn that around. They were facing a carbon tax that would have come in, that they would have had to pay hundreds of millions of pounds. We have now negotiated a situation where they don't have to pay that. Whether it's our trade borders and the barriers to that, whether it's our youth experience scheme, whether it's getting to a point where we don't have to queue up and can go through e-gates, you know, the whole thing, the defence agreement that we've done as part of this, the security agreement, this is us getting back in a strong footing, which is what I think the country wants to see. More money in people's pockets, more jobs.
Sarah Jones, thanks for your time today. Thanks for your explanation. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Sarah
so much.
Jones,
Very much.
thank you. Sarah Jones is the Minister of State for Industry.
We're joined now by GB News' political editor, Christopher
Not
Hope.
old fisherman Christopher, not
Yes, who is the front page of
tie
the
them up
Sun
like a kipper.
today.
Yes, done up like a kipper. You're making the headlines today.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hi, Eamonn, hi, Ellie. Yeah, I mean, I think we were trying to summarise what's happening here, maybe with this deal. There's so much yet to be decided, but there is a feeling, certainly amongst fishermen we've been speaking to at GB News, that it's not a great deal. So I asked the PM a question with a fish angle to it. Here's why I asked him.
Gibraltar, the Commission and the United Kingdom government are talking, negotiating. Maros Sefcovic and David Lammy is making a very good job. It's an ongoing job, work, and my feeling is we are not very close to conclude this work.
We are very close.
No.
I think that may have been the wrong clip there, but what I did ask him was, have you been stitched up like a kipper by the European Union? Certainly some of the coverage in the more Eurosceptic newspapers today would suggest that. And of course the Sun newspaper picked that up and did their front page, and there you see it on the screen there, done up like a kipper. Yeah, I think you can say that the government has maybe not done so well on fishing, 12-year deal, of course, access to EU trawlers. But you heard there, didn't you, from Sarah Jones, that allows British fishermen to sell their products into the French and the continental market. Currently, they can't do that, so that could be part of the... I think we may have the question now. Let's see if we have the question now.
Scottish Fishermen Association or Federation say your deal is a horror show, far worse than Boris Johnson's botched Brexit agreement. Are they right? Have you been stitched up like a kipper by the European Union?
Does it bring down bills? And I think it's really important to see the reaction of supermarkets, of Salmon Scotland, to begin to answer that question, because they are celebrating this because they know it will reduce prices. Does it boost jobs in security, in defence, steel, of course? And then, of course, does it take vital measures to help protect our borders? And it answers all of those questions, which I think are fundamentally important for working people. Thank you.
There you are, Sir Keir Starmer there. He's got the Cabinet today at 9:30, and then a statement in the House of Commons when the government will try and stress the value of this deal. So far, we think it's worth maybe 0.2% to 0.3% of growth on GDP. Rachel Reeves is pleased with that, but I'm struck by how much hasn't been decided in this big day yesterday, Eamonn and Ellie. For example, nothing on the youth experience scheme, as you asked the Minister there, Ellie. We don't know really on how much we're going to pay to clear that red tape at the border. That could be billions of pounds if you believe Priti Patel, the Tory Shadow Foreign Secretary. No price on the defence deal. Nothing on artists' visas travelling into the European Union. No deal on when we get access to these passport e-gates. That's down to member states. They can veto them. And no deal on architects or lawyers getting access to the European Union. So I'm afraid to say, Eamonn and Ellie, yesterday is the beginning of a long Brexit renegotiation. It's like the last 8 years never really happened.
Brings it all back, doesn't it, Christopher Hope? Good to see you this morning. Thank you very much. Well, as you're just hearing, lots of questions remain and a big question mark over Gibraltar, which is where our reporter Jack Carson is this morning. Morning, Jack.
Yeah, good morning to you both. We're in the beautiful cabinet room here in Gibraltar. And did I say we're joined by Chief Minister Fabian Picardo. Chief Minister, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Lots of questions around what this deal looks like. We heard it's very close. Just from your understanding, how close are we to a deal on Gibraltar?
Well, I said yesterday to Gibraltar Television, we are excruciatingly close. We are
almost there, but, it's not over till the fat lady sings, and we're hoping that she's going to treat us to an opera very soon.
What are some of the sticking points? Are there sticking points? What might some of those be in those negotiations?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily describe them as sticking points. I think there are final issues that need to be resolved. My view, and I think it's the view of all of us around the negotiating table, is that we passed the point of no return. We can see the finish line. We are almost there. We just have to get it to the finish line and be able to announce the whole package, the whole suite of agreements that are going to come into effect if we're able to get there.
And why is a deal so important? Because we know there's been, I guess, a temporary situation after the UK left the European Union. So what has been the current situation? Why is it important that this deal is made?
Well, 15,000 people come into Gibraltar every day to work. That's half of the population of Gibraltar and half of the working population of Gibraltar. So 30,000 people work in Gibraltar. 15,000 of them have to come across that Schengen frontier every day and back into Schengen. So you can imagine if they had to do full passport formalities, it would take them longer than the working day to be able to come into Gibraltar. So we need an arrangement on fluidity, not freedom of movement, fluidity of people across that frontier into Gibraltar and out back into the European Union. And the same is true of goods. One of the things that Brexit did for Gibraltar was it stopped the great British banger being able to be sold in our supermarkets. So the SPS deal that is likely to happen now as a result of the announcement yesterday will allow the Great British banger to come into the European single market, and from the European single market to come to Gibraltar. Our shelves in our supermarkets now feel less British because of Brexit, and I hope that the deals the Prime Minister has done yesterday and the deals we will do in hopefully coming weeks or months will enable us to make our British supermarkets feel British again.
All right, Fabian Picardo, thank you so much. Fabian Picardo, thanks so much for joining us this morning and giving us that view of just why an agreement on Gibraltar is needed. And as you heard there from the Chief Minister, it is excruciatingly close.
So you can get a packet of Richmond sausages then as a result. Right. Very good, Jack. Thank you very much indeed. And so they've got a lot of pharmaceutical deals to tie up there, which tie in with Northern Ireland and Malta, Gibraltar there, and whatever. Yeah. It's all very good.
Yeah, news of that still to come in the next few hours and days. In the meantime, this leads us on to our poll of the day. Do you think the government's EU trade deal constitutes a betrayal of Brexit?
Just when you thought this vote couldn't change any more.
Yeah, it's pretty resounding, isn't it? 99% of you now say yes. 1% say no.
Who is that 1%? Who is that 1% person? So 99% of you winning the day on this one. Let's see if those results change. Will they go to 100%? And the final result will be announced on Martin Dobney's show this afternoon.
Do stay with us still to come. The King and Queen have completed their annual visit to the Chelsea Flower Show. We're going to be talking all about that next.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. This is GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
If we were to give something away and it could be yours, could it be this?
It's just 3 weeks left to grab your chance to win. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be spending your summer touring in this stylish Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. Worth over £67,000. This brand new 2025 model comes complete with kitchen and bathroom areas and enough space to comfortably sleep a family of 4. We'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to add a few of your favourite things, or just spend it however you like. Don't miss out as lines close on the 6th of June. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Got great pictures across the papers today of the King, the Queen and David Beckham at the Chelsea Flower Show yesterday. Let's speak now to former senior gardener to King Charles, Jack Stooks. Always good to see you, Jack. Hi. And how wonderful to see the King at the Chelsea Flower Show yesterday, because he's such a keen gardener.
Yeah, no, it is. It's fantastic to see them there, and see him walking around with his wife, always looking very happy together, which is always great. He was obviously going to go and see the David Austin roses because the new rose has been finally released. We've had it at Highgrove for a good few years now. So it's quite nice to sort of finally, see it publicly being shown, and everybody's warming to this rose and are going to be buying the rose from now on, and that's going to help his charity, which he's a great supporter and believer in, helping all these people that he does.
And Jack, that charity wants to encourage more people to do your job, to get involved in horticulture. What would you think the chances are of that?
I do think that that does happen. I mean, it does naturally happen when plants are involved. That always tends to happen. The King, for instance, absolutely adores delphiniums, and with that, people see more of the delphiniums and they want more of them. So people then go, okay, well now we can start breeding them, and other people want to breed a new variety that the King might like and want in his garden. It's the same with the David Austin roses. The way that the roses are now being bred. This is more for pollinators. I mean, this will help nature. So we're going back a little bit to what roses used to look like, and that's where I think David Austin are breeding them.
Thank you very much indeed. I've got to prune you there, got to cut you off. Thank you very much indeed. Good luck and enjoy the rest of the day. Britain's Newsroom next with Andrew and Bev. 5 seconds.
We've got Lucy Connolly's appeal will be announced this morning.
And Tommy Robinson.
Tommy Robinson, EU, after your weather.
Heavy showers first thing will be followed by a warm, cosy day. Boxed boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Morning. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A fine sunny day for most places today, but we are again going to see a few showers, and they could be quite heavy, especially so across Northern Ireland. It is another pretty grey start over parts of southeast Scotland, northeast England. That cloud melting away through the morning, always potentially sticking to some of these coasts, but most places dry and sunny. But the clouds bubbling up this afternoon. We will see a few showers, maybe for Wales, certainly across Northern Ireland, perhaps southwest Scotland too. Feeling quite warm though, a bit warmer than yesterday in the south, 23, 24, perhaps even up to 25 Celsius. Again, some of these North Sea coasts will be a little fresher, and certainly temperature will drop down where we see these heavy showers breaking out, which could easily affect parts of southern and western Northern Ireland. The far north of Scotland, always the possibility of the Ha returning here. Small chance of a shower over southwest Scotland, northwest England, but a greater risk of those showers for Northern Ireland, where there could be slow-moving thunderstorms. So just something to keep an eye on here through the day. Small chance of a shower too for Wales, perhaps even the Midlands, but most places across England and Wales dry and fine. It'll start to cloud over in the southwest a little bit as we go through the afternoon into the evening, so sunshine turning hazy, and then that cloud thickening up. We're more likely to see some rain coming into South Wales, southwest England as we go through the early hours. Elsewhere, dry night to come. Again, that mist and low cloud just drifting back inland over parts of eastern Scotland and eastern England. Bit of a chilly one over Scotland. Temperatures well down into single figures here. Different feel though tomorrow for South Wales, southwest England. More cloud and some outbreaks of rain, and we could see some heavy showers even developing over southeast England and the Midlands. Could be some welcome rain, but if you get a heavy downpour, it's going to drop a lot of rain in a short space of time. Those heavy downpours will be very hit and miss. Many places again dry and fine. A drier day for Northern Ireland. Again, cool on some North Sea coasts. High teens, low 20s elsewhere.
There will be a light breeze in the morning, leading to a warm front. Boxed heat pumps, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Drivers on the M8 westbound should be cautious due to a bale of hay near junction 27. On the M4 westbound, electrical work has closed slip roads between junction 46 Llyongiflach and junction 47 Penlygire, with one lane closed. In Northumberland, the A69 westbound faces disruptions due to a broken down vehicle, causing 1 hour delays. The M6 northbound in Sandwell has delays due to an accident with an overturned vehicle between junctions 7 and 8. 2 lanes are closed. And on the trains, cross-country and Great Western Railway services are disrupted between Cardiff Central and Newport and through Salisbury. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Martin Daubney, weekdays from 3 p.m.
NHS trusts are being told to prioritise ethnic minority applicants for interview shortlists, and they justify hiring